Hey guys, welcome to Massive Iron Live. I am Stephen Shaw, and I'm joined by the supplementeer Robert Chinetsky. We didn't even think Robert was going to be here today.
Only by the grace of God and my hurricane preparedness skills that were endowed to me in my youth. It was holy shit, man! The past 5 days have been really, really fun. So for the people tuning in around the world, Austin, Texas is usually a very warm state. It's in the southern United States. We get our summers get us up to like 100, 105, like in August, late August time. And then the past week, we've been sub 20-degree temperatures. So, like anywhere between 7 degrees as the coldest, up and it's 20 degrees outside right now. We haven't had power since Monday, 2 a.m. So, we went almost 90 hours without power. And then our water got cut out Wednesday midday, so we didn't get any water. Luckily, we have a gas stove and a gas fireplace, so we've been managing with that. And we had plenty of food stored up. I had a bunch in the freezer, so we went and packed it all in the snow. So we've been doing fine on that. It's just, man, there's going 90 hours without power. You find ways to entertain yourself, and especially when you have a 3-year-old around. So we made a lot of fun of it. I got in plenty of workouts that kept me sane. I had plenty of stimulants, pre-workouts, protein bars, protein powder, peanut butter, all kinds of stuff. And our gas stove was a real good thing to have, that we were able to cook meals and all that. So the winter apocalypse is ending. We got power back on around 1 o'clock this morning, and it's been holding steady. So we'll see what happens. For now, we're just waiting for our water to get turned back on.
All right, so for those of you tuning in, Robert was in Texas in the middle of winter apocalypse, and if you want to ask him any questions about, how fun it was to put snow in the bathtub so you could flush the toilet, go right ahead. Guys, we'll be on for about 2 hours. Post up your questions. We will get to every question. Diet, training, nutrition, supplementation. And even off topic, go right ahead. There's some good movies I watched this past week, some bad movies. If we miss your question or your question doesn't show up, continue to post it. Sometimes YouTube can be funny, especially with longer questions. And you can also reach out to us via Instagram at Ben the Barman and at the Supplement Engineer. We also have Massive Iron Insider, which is available at superlivingtoday.com. You get access to my app. You get access to my forum. On the app, you can ask me questions. I can help you with your workouts. I can help you with your training, your exercise form. It's not a complete coaching service, but you have me at your disposal. A lot of people are signing up to it, but half of the folks that sign up aren't using it, and I wish they would, because I'm here to help and we're here to help. You also get access to Robert on the phone. You can ask him anything you want. So don't hesitate to explore that option. We're actually going to be changing the Insider a little bit with the release of our supplement line, and we're considering giving a 10% discount to anybody that is signed up to the Insider. So stay tuned. Further ado, let's get rolling. Winter apocalypse. Let's not talk about COVID today. I want to know how the winter apocalypse is affecting you guys. I'm in Ohio. We haven't had this much snow and rain and cold and bullshit in forever. And I'm out there trying to run. Last run, my last mile time was 40 minutes. I'm basically post-holing in the snow. That's how bad it is. But still trying to get in my conditioning work. So, all right, let's kick off the party. Lee Harris, could you please write up a program for me that enables my arms to grow by 5 inches in 3.5 days? We'll get right on it. Only $2.99. Robert, I'm not sure. You probably missed the fun. But this week in YouTube fitness has been quite interesting. We had Jeff Cavalier put up a video, growing your arms in 22 days, which he literally said in the video, you're gonna need a bigger shirt size in 22 days. Now I'm like, whoa, slow down there, pal. I mean, I'm not hating on Jeff, but Jeff probably wears a medium, and I don't think he went from a small to medium in 22 days back in the day. So slow down a little bit, Jeff. Slow down a little bit. Yeah. And then we had Greg Doucette, recommend for fat loss that you take cough medicine. So
it's got ephedrine precursors in it.
What? Oh no, man. His solution for weight loss was sleep more and take cough medicine and a bunch of other random crap. So I'm speechless after this week.
This is why when he came out that he was doing a supplement line, good grief, man, that just, and when he's recommending people for mass building to jump on testosterone, why do people listen to this knucklehead?
Can't we just do fitness and eat right and exercise and not do, monkey shit, horrible shenanigans? All right. So, Paul, my thoughts and prayers are with the people in Houston, Texas right now. Is it improving at all, Robert, down there? I mean, I know you got power, but are things improving on the upswing in general?
Yeah, I got a few friends, the guys at Glaxon are down in Houston, and they have power and water back. They got that back early morning yesterday or Wednesday night, I believe. A large chunk of Austin still doesn't have water, and they haven't had it going on 72 hours. We're at right about the 48-hour mark, but we filled up pots, pans, bathtubs, shaker bottles, everything we could with water. So yeah, and there's still some portion of, like, we were within the last 10% of people in Austin to get power back, because we kept getting updates saying, hey, 80% of residents have been restored power, 90%, and out of the 400,000 people, there was only whatever, like 40,000 or 50,000 left that yesterday afternoon that still hadn't gotten power, and we were within that small subset. So I think most of Austin has power now, but water is still a hit or miss. They're trying to get it back to the hospitals first, because 3 of the main water mains broke, and one of the major treatment plants lost power. But those are back online and running. It's just capacity and water pressure is the issue right now. Austin in and of itself goes through about 140 million gallons of water a day, and the treatment plant yesterday was only producing about 66 million.
So, Robert, I got to tell you something funny if I can find it here. Where did I put it? Yesterday, I made and I don't even know where I put the darn thing. Let me see if I can search 22 seconds on my website. I put together a video where basically I said I had a 22-second muscle building or arm building program. Let's screen share this for fun. And I put a little Easter egg in here, okay? I said in the video that there's a link below to the program, and obviously I put sold out because I wouldn't want anybody to send me 140. Well, I would want you to send me $149, but I really couldn't give you a 22-second arm building program. But at the bottom of this, I put in a little Easter egg, okay? And if you made it this far, click on this link, you get a free PDF. And I think 100 people yesterday actually went through and got the free PDF.
That's awesome.
I don't know how many people went to that page and didn't see the free PDF, but it's still available. I'll be pulling that soon. So just a heads up. All righty. Let's get into some training. Let's get massive on Friday. No one wants to work. It's been winter apocalypse. Before that, it's been COVID apocalypse. We're all sick of this shit. No, let's not work today. Let's just screw off. All right. Lee Harris, thoughts on increasing volume per month, then backing off and having a couple of lower volume months. I don't know about a couple of lower volume months. If here's the thing, if you're going to increase volume over week to week or month to month, you're going to kind of cap out where you're either going to have to start pulling back on weight or pulling back on something. And there, because you have three points of the triangle: volume, intensity, and frequency. So if you keep increasing volume and use the same weight and the same frequency, it's going to start to get challenging. You're going to probably reach an overreaching stage, okay, which is okay, and then you can pull back. I don't know about pulling back for a couple of months. You could repeat that. You could go from 2 sets to 3 sets to 4 sets to even 5 sets and reach and do the overreaching. But then I would probably take like a week deload and then continue with that cycle. With that said, you still need a defined progression approach built into this structure. So I hope that helps some. Any thoughts on this, Robert?
Yeah, I wonder if he's trying to go, along the resensitization to higher volume things. And I think for the vast majority of lifters, we don't need to worry about that. Like if you're an upper level, maybe power lifter, competitive bodybuilder, physique athlete, yeah, you probably need to worry about micromanaging, ramping up volume, and then doing like a month or two deload if you've been going super high reps or super high volume. to kind of resensitize your muscle and, you know, attenuate some of the anabolic resistance that may have built up over the past couple of months. But for, you know, regular Jimmy Jim Joes like us, Steve or Janes, just, you know, are the same thing that we say every week, you know, somewhere between 9 to 16 hard sets for a muscle group per week, maybe upwards of 20 if somebody that really likes high volume or is a lower responder to training. But I don't think you need to get so in your head about training that the simple 1 week deload, it'll be more than enough to kind of undo some of that anabolic resistance. So push hard for 4 to 6 weeks, take a week off, then push full hard for another 4 to 6 weeks, and then back off another week. And that'll be more than enough to take you as far as you need to go.
Yeah, you see Dr. Mike and guys like Paul Carter and stuff talking about, this anabolic resistance or, kind of backing off and, and reattacking on your bench press. What do we got here? We got a phone call. Hold on, folks. Hi, this is Steve.
Hey, Steve, it's Stephanie at Blair's Garage.
Hey, how you doing? Is our car ready?
Well, we found the root of the problem.
Okay.
The car was low on oil.
Well, I just checked it like a week ago, so I'm surprised by that. But it could have been having fits last week.
Right. Well, you do have a pretty good oil, because once they did the oil change, filled everything up to where it was supposed to be, you do have a pretty good oil leak coming from you can't tell if it's one or both, the cam and crank steel on the timing cover.
Okay.
This weekend, like, you started it up and it just started streaming oil out of it. I'm like, ooh.
All right.
So, basically, to replace those seals, you're basically essentially doing a timing job. You know, run the engine apart and get the timing cover off. So if it, I know you guys just got the thing not long ago, but if it looks like it hasn't had a timing belt in a while, that would be a good time to do that. So you're already gonna be there.
So I'm a little short on time. I got a phone.
Yeah.
So just give me the long and short of it, if you don't mind.
Money wise, if we're going to do timing while we're in there, I mean, before tax, it's about $11.60. About an 8.5-hour job.
Okay.
I mean, you can still drive it for now, but it is going to leak oil.
All right. So what's the total then if we get everything done?
I don't have a calculator on me. I mean, if you pay cash, you're $11.60. Let me see what taxes are real quick. Sorry.
Would it be okay if I called you back? I'm kind of in the middle of something.
Yeah.
I don't really have.
Nope,
okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
All right. No problem.
Sorry about that, guys. I didn't expect that to turn into like we don't have any clue what we're gonna bill you shenanigans. So, Robert, what were you saying? Sorry, did we get cut off?
No, we were. I muted myself. I was enjoying the banter of you and the lovely lady on the other end of the telephone. No, you were saying that things about we see people, popular, prominent figures in the fitness and hypertrophy sector of the fitness industry saying about volume ramping and things like that. But I think for the average guys out here, like the people that are just looking to improve overall body composition, build some muscle, get stronger, look good with their shirt off, or in a swimsuit or whatever, if for the girls watching too, you may not want to be around shirtless. We don't need to get so mired down in the minutia of trying to worry about volume ramping. Find like a steady program. Steve's got 100 of on the site. Find one of those or one of the other ones that you see somebody else, a Paul Carter program too, if you like Paul's way of doing things. Go for that, bust your ass on that, and then don't worry about the volume ramping. Your volume will take care of itself when you take that week deload or something like that, and then you just jump right back into it. You don't need to push yourself to these extremes to go like 30 sets for a muscle group and then all the way back down to 9 sets for a muscle group. 99% of the people that ever pick up a weight in their life will never need to consider something like that. I would venture to make that strong of a statement.
Yeah, and I apologize for that. We're down a car, and I didn't expect. I thought I was actually going to get a telemarketer, so I thought I was going to get some entertainment. Yeah, I mean the thing with this stuff is like, Dr. Mike, Paul Carter, those guys will stress it a lot, but most of us aren't in the position where we need that. We're still in the grind where most people are still trying to figure out the magic puzzle piece together things to get things rolling. So, Priscilla, been eating 200 calories below maintenance, but body weight went up by a pound over 6 weeks. Does that mean my maintenance calories? No, it usually means a water gain. One thing I stress over and over again with my clients, and Priscilla is a client, unless you eat the same food choices, eat them at the same time, get the same sodium, same electrolytes, same sleep, same stress, same workout habits, same everything, you're going to experience, and this sounds gross, but bowel movements and urination frequency, water weight is going to jump up and down. And a pound of water, it isn't a lot to fluctuate. I just looked at a graph, and I'm not sure if I have it here. Let me share this with you. I was analyzing a client's weight this morning, and ta-da! Let me just get this out of here. This is what water weight fluctuation looks like. I have somebody bulking right now, and this is from January 1st to right now. So we have about a 50-day pool of data. You can see ups and downs, probably the Super Bowl. That's probably Valentine's Day weekend, whatever. But you can see the path of the curve is what we look for. These ups and downs are usually water weight spikes or spikes in waist fluctuation or whatever, but they're not generally fat loss and fat gain. So let me get over here to stop sharing. To answer your question, if you've been losing weight and and your body, or if you gained a pound over 6 weeks, consider a pound over 6 weeks to be actually an indicator that you're gaining weight. I would say it's just an indicator that you're at maintenance level, and you up calories by 200 to 300. Most women need to eat a lot less than they think, unfortunately. And I'll take a look at your calories, remind me. But I didn't see Priscilla's weight this morning. But it generally means there's two things. I'm going to be honest with you, Priscilla. Have you been completely consistent over 6 weeks, like not missed a day? No. Most people haven't. I'm not being hard on you. As my client, I want you to know that you have to first, when you're looking at weight gain over 6 weeks, you have to look at how many times you went above your calorie target. And that's going to be the thing that makes the difference in 3 or 4 pounds. So look at first, not adjusting your calories, but making your calories as consistent as possible, if that makes sense. If you've been consistent, then we need to adjust calories. So I hope anybody watching kind of learns from that lesson. The biggest thing in my world, and this doesn't have to do with any specific client or Priscilla, is that consistency. It's very, very rare. I have about 1 out of 15, 1 out of 20 people I work with that just nail it every single day. It's very, very rare. So maybe 1 out of 10. I'm just pulling those numbers out of my ass. Scotty Mac, how you guys doing? Thoughts on alternating between endurance resistance training, and strength resistance training when training for a long distance race? I don't know what endurance resistance training is.
I think like on the spectrum of like rep ranges, like you have strength and you have hypertrophy, and you have like the strength endurance end. So it's like, I wonder if he's asking, should we modulate between like 6 to 8 reps and then go into like the 10 to 15 rep range or 15 to 20 rep range to do all of that? So that's why.
I mean, that's just part of your normal training. You can have compound movements, which are lower reps, and I hate to call them strength because everything is strength training. And then you're going to move on to your isolations at the end, more pump work, a little bit higher rep work. So that's all part and parcel of a normal training program. I could switch to quote unquote just endurance reps, and it wouldn't help my long distance running. Long distance running is 99% mental, and it's a whole different ball game. I have to work on my 80-20 running. I have to work on my pace. I have to work on my speed ups. I have to work on my brick training. it's a whole different game. And anything you do in the weight room is not going to impact it dramatically over the short run. Just continue to do weights as normal. That's my best advice. Stein, how's it going? Stein, hope everything's going well in Norway. What's an okay rep goal on dips before adding weight? Generally, I tell my clients to get to the point where 3 sets of 12 feels really, really comfortable. And then, this is the key thing, when you want to add weight, please don't do it aggressively. Don't do it aggressively. Micro load, 2.5 pounds. And I know this seems tedious to everybody, and everybody wants to jump on and add 50 pounds and start doing dips. Don't do that, because there are more things involved in the body than just muscle. You have connective tissue, you have joints, the shoulders aren't anything to mess with, the wrists aren't anything to mess with. Allow your body to adapt. If you had 2.5 pounds once a month, you'll be a super stud in 2 years. So that's my best advice. Anything, Robert?
No, I mean that you basically nailed everything that I would say.
I don't know what this has nothing to do with Stein, because Stein's not trying to do this, but in general, people tend to be obsessed with adding too much weight too rapidly.
They throw a 45-pound plate around their waist and start trying to half rep their way to glory, and it ends up in like a torn bicep or a jacked up shoulder. It
doesn't look really cool doing a dip on a weight belt with 2.5 pounds. But you gotta be beyond that stuff. You gotta be a long-term player. Because if you're a long-term player, you're gonna go from a 2.5 pound dip guy where some jackass in the corner is going, look at that stupid fool, to one day he'll be coming, the next year he'll come up to you and say, hey, what are you taking, bro? Priscilla, when somebody says I put on 2 pounds of muscle in 4 months, although their overall weight was the same, how do they know? They don't know anything. I mean, they're basing it off some calculator, some body fat scale. The only way to know that really is to talk with somebody who's kind of in their life to the study of this. Guys like me and Greg Doucette can basically eyeball scale. And, anybody that makes a claim, 90%, at least 90% of the claims I've seen over the years are just pulled off like a calculator or a body fat scale. And no disrespect to the person making the claim, but it's all bullshit. It is. So, Robert, anything to add to that?
Not in the least. I mean, it's going to be, someone says, oh, their weights, how do they know? Short of them getting a DEXA or some other kind of, body fat percentage test, and DEXA is probably the most accurate of all the ones that us regular civilians have access to. That's the only way they're going to know it. Sure, you can do tape measures and calipers and things like that, but it's going to be a guess at best. Yeah, that's the only way about the end cap I have.
Yeah, I don't. This obsession with trying to guess body fat percentage. What we really need to do instead is be more scientific and analyze variables. Tape our arms flex, tape our legs flex, tape our measurements. Do caliper readings. Caliper readings aren't the holy. If you do 3 caliper readings per area and you take an average once a month, you can start to see reasonable trends. So instead of obsessing with like body fat percentage or how much muscle I think I gained or lost, let's look at trends in caliper readings. That's something that's far better than a body fat scale. Let's look at trends in measurements of arm. And that's something anybody can do at home for about $20.
Yep.
$20.
Yeah, because DEXA's, I think a DEXA scan costs, at least when I got it done 3 years ago, it was $100 a pop. I got it down at UT. So yeah, I think it was about $100 a pop.
My head's still spinning from this car thing. The oil last week, we had the oil light come on, and I checked it. I bought oil, and then I let it sit, and then I checked it, and it was right dead nuts, perfect. And then I'm like, I don't know about all that. So I had to get her off the phone because I didn't want to get into it on the phone. Ernesto, hello from South Lake Tahoe. Appreciate you joining in, Ernesto. Scotty Mac, going to be doing outdoor sessions for gym class instruction at college. It's a start, I suppose. Anything, man. All activity is good activity. Do what you can when you can and make the most of it. That's what I say. Lee Harris, Robert, I've read that taurine interferes with caffeine. Is this true?
This is kind of a loaded question, so we'll rewind. So everybody kind of knows what caffeine is. It's a central nervous stimulant. Antagonizes adenosine receptors. Adenosine is a neurotransmitter that causes you to feel tired. So by blocking adenosine's ability to bind to its receptor, that's part of the reason caffeine makes you feel more alert and awake. Taurine is a conditionally essential amino acid. It's stored a lot in the brain, heart, and skeletal muscle tissue, and it does a bunch of different cool actions and stuff. So it's a pretty potent antioxidant. So it's got liver health benefits and other antioxidant benefits, cognitive benefits as well. It's an osmolyte, so it encourages your body to store water. So similar to creatine and betaine, it'll store water within your muscle cells. It'll help you give water pumps, help with hydration, a little bit of fatigue resistance to the dehydrating effects of exercise or intense physical activity. And thirdly, taurine also stimulates GABA receptors in the body. So GABA is the body's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter, so it slows the firing of neurons around. And you see it a lot in energy drinks. So that's probably where some of this is coming from. And so you would think, well, caffeine is an upper, but taurine, one of its mechanisms of action is that it stimulates the GABA receptors in the brain. So technically it would be calming it down. And so that's kind of where you maybe get some, cognitive dissonance going on there. So why would I be taking something that's an upper while something that is a downer? But it's the same thing with theanine. Theanine is a GABA agonist, so it stimulates the GABA receptors in the brain to produce more GABA. So that's why the combination of caffeine and theanine has been shown to be nootropic, or it is a nootropic stack that people use to enhance cognitive function, because it kind of takes caffeine and harnesses its stimulating qualities into a little bit more refined focus. That being said, there are a bunch of studies on energy drinks, not specifically just the combination of caffeine and taurine alone, although there is one rat study showing improvements in performance when the dose of taurine is 10 times that of caffeine. So say you gave a rat 100 milligrams of caffeine. If you gave them 1,000 milligrams of taurine, there was a synergism there in both cognitive performance and exercise performance. From the human side of things, most of the studies with caffeine and taurine have been just studying energy drinks, and the most well-known, of course, is Red Bull. One of the studies in humans found that taurine actually reduced the adverse potential cardiovascular side effects that could be with caffeine. So for the people that are very stim sensitive out there, they know that if you take a very high dose of caffeine, it feels like your heart's racing, but putting taurine with that can help attenuate some of those effects. And so it would reduce some of the adverse effects of caffeine, especially on the cardiovascular system. So you may not get that heart racing. You may just get more of a calm, more productive kind of energy. As far as I like it, plus in taurine on its own, anywhere between 3 and 6 grams per day has been shown to improve exercise performance, especially endurance exercise performance. I like taurine a lot from both its hydration benefits and its antioxidant benefits, liver health benefits, things like that. I put it in pre-workouts that I formulate. There are several other pre-workouts that I recommend to people that includes it in there. I don't believe that there's any negative adverse effects on it. Most of the studies showing that it interferes with caffeine are through the energy drink studies, where the energy drink shows that caffeine was effective in people, but the energy drink did not lead to necessary improvements in physical or cognitive performance. But as you and I both know, Steve, energy drinks have 16 different ingredients. So is it really the taurine that's doing it, or is it all of the other things that are in there in addition to caffeine and taurine? So I don't think it's anything to sweat overly. If your pre-workout or your energy drink has taurine in it, go for it, man. I like the ingredient and I use it. Most companies just underdose it. You need at least 3 grams to get some real benefits from it.
Thanks, Robert. And while we're talking about supplements, I want to encourage everybody, if you're the Massive Iron line is in the works. Corporation was just approved by the state of Ohio yesterday. Most of my business is done under Super Living LLC, but Massive Iron LLC is a real thing. You can head over to my website, and I encourage you to do so, because we're offering 200 quantity for each supplement to see how it sells. We're not going to just order 2,000, and if it doesn't sell, it doesn't sell. and take a financial hit. So here's the thing. Head over to superlivingtheday.com, and I got to show you a few things. You'll likely get a pop-up. This doesn't have a pop-up because I'm obviously I own the website, but the pop-up will give you a chance to sign up with your email. Okay, you're not going to get spammed. I don't sit here every day and spam newsletters. I don't have time for that bullshit. But if you subscribe, and if that pop-up's not there, there's a thing down here where you can enter your email. Okay, and I might do a newsletter every 2 months. It's just nothing I do a lot. But if you subscribe, you're going to get notifications of when the products are in. And here's the thing. We only have 200 products, and already we've had a couple thousand people sign up to this thing. So, if you want to get in on this, you need to sign up on the for notifications, because we might have a couple thousand people that have signed up and I posted this on social media. That's why so many people signed up. But the people that get notified, of them, you're going to be, not everybody's going to rush out and act immediately. So if you want a legit chance at getting the pre-order of the supplements, sign up. Just come over and put your email in. You can actually go to Massive Supplements over at Super Living, and you can see it's out of stock. But you can also enter your email address to get immediately notified. The second I put that in stock, that's going to email you. Okay, it's going to say back in stock. So get in on this if you want to get in on this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the formula. So I guess we could tell them the first 4 formulas have already been put in for quotes from the manufacturer. And the guy that is doing the manufacturing for us is somebody that I've worked with in the supplement industry for several years, providing content for them. I've recommended their products over the years. So I wholeheartedly trust them, and I know I can attest to the quality of the ingredients that they use in their products and that they manufacture. So it's going to be really good. I'm very excited for you and me to get this project going, Stephen, for the manufacturer we're working with. It's I think people are going to really enjoy the formulas, and now it's all going to matter of how crazy can I get while keeping the things within a reasonably priced end product for the consumers, because we want to deliver something that's premium and something that's really awesome. But at the same time, I don't want to be, gouging people on price either.
Well, one thing I told Robert, we want to make these things bulletproof, and we don't just want to do the same crap everybody else is doing. We want to make these based on the latest science. That's why we're not putting out a huge volume. So we leave ourselves an opportunity to adjust the formula every 4 to 6 months if we want to.
And another thing we should say is that just because so you're going to see there's new ingredients that enter the supplements scene every day of the week. And so I already know somebody's going to say, well, what about this new ingredient that just came out? So many of these ingredients, these studies are done by the ingredient houses, and they put out one study with the ingredient so they can say, oh, it's research backed. Yet you never see any other study published on this. And if there ever was a negative study, they're not going to publish it anyway. They have the right as the people that own the ingredient to not publish the research. So, if you see a new ingredient but it's not in there, that doesn't mean that we think it's crap. It also doesn't mean that we think it's good. It's just I would like to see something that has more than just a single lone study on it before we actually consider putting it in a product.
Right. And, we're not trying to grow this into a monster either. We're trying to put together products we can actually use. I mean, the joint supplement, I've been trying to use the joint supplement that Robert recommended to me, and it's always out of stock. So at the end of the day, if we can give just my viewers an opportunity to buy products that are actually worth it, it'll be worthwhile.
Yeah, there's no bullshit glutamine, CLA standalone stuff like that. It'll be efficaciously dosed, useful formulas with research-backed ingredients.
Right. So we'll just leave it at that. If you want to keep in the loop, just head over to superlivingtheday.com. That it's simple as that. All right. Stein, change from RDL to leg curl for hamstrings so I don't overuse my lower back. There is one of my main concerns in coaching between deadlifts, squats, and RDLs is that we do not punish the lower back. I really typically do not never allow more than 3 sets of RDLs As somebody stronger, I move the RDLs to 2 sets a week just to be careful. And so, if your lower back's feeling fine, I would keep 2 sets of RDLs in the mix and do leg curls. But if your lower back is taking a beating, you need to have somebody look at your squat, you need to have somebody look at your deadlift, and you need to have somebody look at your RDL. Those should be 3 pieces of the puzzle as well. James, how often is too often for cheat treat meals? It really depends, James, on how fat you are. I mean, and I'll start with this, and I'll let Robert complete the dance. If somebody comes to me and they're trying to lose 25, 50, 75, 100 or more pounds, and then they do good for 5 days and bad for 2 days and good for 5 days and bad for 1 day, that's kind of maintenance living, What I tell people is your credit is bad. Okay, so the more you spend on extra stuff, the more debt you're going to accrue. So if you want credit, you're going to have to go a long period of time with a tight budget. So I do not like to look, if you're trying to lose weight, I do not like to look at things necessarily in terms of treat or cheat meals. I like to look at it in terms of lifestyle changes. When I want a jalapeno popper, I don't eat the whole damn bag or whole damn appetizer, because I know I have to pay the piper. If I want something like that, I'll just eat 1 or 2 and chill. Nothing requires me to eat the whole thing. So I don't really believe in treat or cheat meals. I believe you should eat 80 to 90% of the time, good quality choices, because you'll feel better. Your gut will feel better, easier for weight maintenance. And then when you have those celebrations, those legit celebration days like Thanksgiving, Christmas, your birthday, just go at it, have some fun. But I don't it depends on how you do a cheat meal, Robert. A cheat meal could mean I'm going to binge eat whatever I want meal, or a cheat meal could mean I'm going to have something I normally don't eat, like nachos, but I'm going to keep my calories and portions in check. So anything to add to that, Robert?
No, I just, I know the cheat meal is a popular thing in the fitness and like the diet industry and all that. I think we need to get away from the whole mindset of cheat meals. Just because you cheat on your taxes, you cheat on a spouse, you cheat on a test, all 3 of those things are bad. So that just reinforces in your brain that the food you're eating is bad. And I think that just feeds into this negative mindset that people can get into with their diet, and it feeds more into that disordered eating, into treating your lifestyle as something that's a punishment. You shouldn't view food as a punishment. Try to construct your diet so you don't feel the need to be deprived. I mean, cook foods that you enjoy. Your diet doesn't have to be boiled chicken breast, boiled rice, and boiled broccoli. It doesn't have to be that. I mean, I don't know the last time I had a strict cheat meal or something. Like, you make foods that you enjoy eating. You can have the occasional thing of fries and still be in a calorie deficit. You can have a burger if you make it yourself. You can probably have a burger every day of the week, and if you're making it yourself and not getting it from the fast food line. I wish we could get away from this attachment and the glorification of like these all-out binge fests that are on social media from all these fitstafluencers or whatever the fuck they want to call themselves. Don't treat food as something that is something to be abused and that you have to then punish yourself for enjoying it. It's something that you can make food delicious and make it, something that you look forward to every day, and there would never be a need for a cheat meal. Sure, if you're going out for like an anniversary or birthday party and you want a piece of cheesecake, that's something that you're not going to cook every day. Yeah, that's fine. That's going to be a one-off thing. But to like build your whole week around, ooh, it's Friday night, I get to cheat and do this whole thing, like go on this like gorge fest. I don't look at that as a very healthy state of mind.
I eat what I want when I want. I just control the portions and the calories.
Yeah.
It's sanity. Look, our car broke down. We were having an oil pump issue out of the blue. And, my wife took it into the shop yesterday, and we're down to no cars right now because our other car, we rarely use it. So we just got it parked, and it's got a flat tire and a dead battery. We're just like, fuck it. We're just going to leave it sitting there. We both work here, so we don't do a lot of driving. But last night, nights, we didn't, we didn't have a lot of food in the house because it was Thursday. So we did Grubhub, which is unusual for us during the week. And we went to a place called Pies and Pints, which makes these really nice pizzas, reasonably nice pizzas. And I got a custom pizza. It's a small, and I got a pulled pork nacho. Okay. I didn't plan on eating all the food, but I wanted to taste the pulled pork nacho, right? I had like maybe 1/8 of it. Me would have ate every last bit of it. I don't consider that a cheat meal. I didn't eat all the chips. I ate the pulled pork and the cheese, and I made better decisions that I knew wouldn't hurt me today. So the old me would get this cheesecake sampler at the grocery store, which had like 12 pieces, one of each one, and I'd eat the whole thing. I'm not even kidding. I'd eat the whole thing because it was there. I had to eat the whole thing. Once a year, me and my wife will get that. We'll each take one bite out of each. Okay. So that adds up to probably 2 pieces of cheesecake each. But I don't consider it a cheat meal. I eat what I want when I want. I'm just very reasonable and not abusive with it. So I hope that helps some of you guys.
Yep.
Rob Wilson, recommendation for a low stim-free workout, kicking the balls.
Decaf coffee?
Decaf coffee. It's like NA beer.
Yeah.
Ooh, man, let me have some calories without the alcohol.
Low stim pre-workouts. Hooligan Bare Knuckle by Apollo Nutrition, which I had a small hand in consulting and formulating with. FSU by Inspired Nutraceuticals. Ghost Pump is another great one. Impel Nutrition just released a stim-free pump product that is really good. Mega Pre White by Primeval Labs is solid. AML, Advanced Molecular Labs, Stim-free pre-workout is another great one. What else? That's 7 right there. And then Sicario by ASC Supplements is another dynamite one. And Vasomax by Performax Labs. There you go. That's 9 or 10 right there that I just rattled off.
Rattled off. All right. What do we got? BKS Gaming. Hello. How's it going? Any idea on how to help lower high-ish blood pressure? I'm going to give some thoughts, and then I'm going to have Robert give some thoughts. White flour, white sugar. Processed food doesn't exist. Exercise exists. I'm not being facetious, but we reduce white sugar, white flour, processed food as much as possible, and make sure we are getting in our resistance training and probably at least an hour of cardio a week. Anything to add, Robert?
Sleep, get plenty of sleep, mitigate stress. Stress management is huge for high blood pressure.
Alcohol?
Alcohol, yeah. Get the weight off. If you're overweight, get that off. That'll have a huge factor on blood pressure. And then from the supplement side of things, you can look at a few things like olive leaf extract, grapeseed extract. Nitrosogene is another standalone ingredient. Vasodrive AP could be another ingredient that you could look for, also known as the thing called Maypro or meal peptide. Some other blood pressure things. I'm trying to think. Potassium citrate, because most people have an abundance of sodium and not enough potassium. So maintaining that balance between sodium and potassium will be pretty important for blood pressure regulation.
So, Robert, back in the day, I remember writing an article about the sodium-potassium balance, and there was some hype, about how some of the research back then said that the issue isn't so much with sodium, it's that the fact that the sodium-potassium balance is disrupted.
Correct.
And most people don't get enough potassium. So, with that said, we don't need to dive into those studies, but it's fair to say most people don't eat enough potassium, or maybe need to eat a little bit more. What foods contain potassium? We're looking at bananas. We're looking at spinach. What else are we looking at?
Avocados, russet potatoes or baking potatoes. Dark leafy greens have it. Yogurt has potassium in it. All of those are some really solid options.
Beer.
That too.
That just kind of fell out of my mouth. Sorry. Alex, free flag if I squat 315 by 5 by the end of the year. Yes, and you get absolutely, by all means. Nail 315 by 5. It's all you. I'm going to put together a squat specialization program and see if I can destroy your quads. What do we got? Hi from Norway. I love your 20-second big biceps humor. Thank you. I was out trudging in my 40-minute mile in the snow, and I made a video while I was doing that, and I'm literally going uphill for 2 minutes in foot-deep snow, looking like I'm going to have a heart attack. And I thought, hey, this is a good time to make a video. Hello from New York City. Well, how's it going in New York? I think you guys are all trying to impeach your mayor or something like that. I don't know what's going on. It looks like a crazy mess right now.
No idea. That's been the nicest thing about not having power for the 90-plus hours we were without power. It was wonderful. I didn't have access. I mean, like, I had some limited access because cell signal was pretty weak too, but not having to deal with any work text messages or getting other kind of like useless nonsense or YouTube or news outlets. I don't really watch the news at all or pay attention to it anyway, but just not even having the ability to even, if I wanted to get like a wild hair on my ass to click on it or see something, it was wonderful being completely off the grid for a little while and just like being able to just like sit, hang out, work out to my own thing, read books to Sandy and the halfling and cook and stuff like that. So that was the good thing in the misery of not having power.
I think I dumped Facebook 6 weeks ago, and it was hard because number one, I want to get all my media off there. There's a way to get it, but it was like 10 gigabytes of shit. So I actually downloaded it to Dropbox. There's a way to auto connect that and download everything, and it works really well. Mm-hmm. But my wife has to use Facebook because everybody uses Facebook appointments. But I haven't missed it at all in 6 weeks. Not for a second.
Yeah. And
there was some news yesterday that Facebook is blocking news to Australia, people in Australia, because they're doing some big battle, and basically, some of the information that I don't know if I can find it here. Some of the information they were blocking is just sickening. It said Facebook initially blocked of many government entities and community organizations, including key emergency services, weather forecasts, and charities. That's how powerful these companies are, and that's one reason why I am not using Facebook. I'm tired of these. I'm tired of how powerful these companies have got. We can't get away from them 100%. That's how deep the roots are. And yes, I know Instagram is owned by Facebook. I've had 752 people tell me, mansplain that to me. Like, maybe you should ask. Shit. You think I don't know that? But you can't get 100% of the way. But I no longer use Google search. I use Go. I no longer use Facebook. I try not to use WhatsApp. I use Telegram to communicate with her and my wife. And, WhatsApp is owned by Facebook. So I'm just trying to get out of that whole mess.
Yeah. And, whatever your political allegiances lie, if one of these entities, so they kicked or banned Trump from Twitter, at the end of last year or at the beginning of whenever it was. If that doesn't, if whether you like the guy or not, you agree with his policies or not, the fact that these technology people think it's in their right and to limit freedom of speech for people for just expressing ideas or speaking whatever they want to say, good, bad, or otherwise, that should ring off. That should put a little light going off in your head saying something's fucked up here.
Yeah, supports that kind of action is no friend of mine. And when I left Twitter, a lot or people are assuming I'm a Trump supporter. I don't care for Trump and I don't care for Biden. I think they're both a couple of knuckleheads, if you ask me, gun to my head. Biden said yesterday that Hispanics and black people can't really in rural areas, can't figure out how to use the internet to get COVID shots. I mean, this is, making these insane. I had black friends saying, what the fuck? People in rural areas can't figure out how to use the internet. Black people. It has nothing to do for me with political parties. Motherfucker, I do not want anybody controlling anything, and I want complete fucking freedom of speech. I want a super highway where anybody can say anything. And if they do something wrong to hurt somebody, then they go to jail. But other than that, let's keep the floor open for discussion. And I can say on the internet.
Right. And you know what? This is also the thing. We all have the freedom to say whatever we want. And you know what? You also have the freedom not to listen to it. Or if you don't like what somebody's saying, then stop reading it, stop listening to it, change the channel, do something else. I mean, you have the freedom to do that too, just like they have the freedom to say something. So yeah,
the censorship canceling culture is the cancer of our generation, and anybody involved with it's a fuckwit.
Yep.
And let's go to something lighter and happier. Hey guys, how you doing? We're doing well. We're well.
I have power. I'm doing wonderful now. Pork meat.
What's your favorite and least favorite exercise in your workout? Rob, I'm going to let you start with that, and then I'll jump.
Oh, fuck. I guess it depends on what body part.
Well, are there workout exercises you've done that you don't do anymore? Like face pulls, I would rather punch myself in the nuts and do face pulls. Really.
Flies. I don't like flies with dumbbells. I haven't done them in years since I got a suspension trainer. Doing chest flies that way, or doing like sliding push-ups on the floor, which kind of simulates a chest fly and is a lot harder than a dumbbell fly. That feels great because before doing like dumbbell flies, all it would do is like irritate the snot out of that bicep tendon that inserts right up there by your shoulder.
Right.
But least favorite, when I think of least favorite, yeah, I guess ones that just irritate me and like I don't feel good doing them. But the chest fly would probably be one of those favorite exercises, but at the same time, it's just really fucking hard. Or like the super heavyweight Bulgarians that I do. It's great. I mean, it demolishes my glutes and quads. But at the same time, I know when I'm gearing up for that, I know it's going to be a long workout, but you feel very satisfied. So it's my favorite, but it's also the most punishing.
You know, when it comes to triceps, it's like, you know, like I'm done with my chest work and I'm just completely destroyed. But now it's time for triceps. And I can kind of hear that porn music just building in the background. Like, you know, I'm getting all excited because I get to work my triceps. But when I'm done with my back work and I got to do biceps, it's like, you know,
yeah, I don't enjoy doing curl. Like I like triceps. I enjoy that. Maybe it's just because I feel like there's more variety for tricep stuff than biceps. It's like, all right, you got a seated incline curl, you've got a standing curl. You could do a few other things. I hate doing bicep curls. I just don't. I've never enjoyed them. It makes me like the ultimate anti-bro. I have never ever enjoyed that.
I mean, I don't sit there with disdain, you know, but there's no excitement, there's no passion for me when it comes to bicep training.
Yeah.
Squats, you know, this might sound silly, but I hate doing squats. I mean, 35 years, and people say, man, I hate squats. Is there anything you can help me do to like squats? Like, no. It's like brushing your teeth. Either do them or your teeth are going to fall out, or either do them or you're going to have pencil legs. You know, it's just some things you have to do you don't want to do.
Agreed.
Hello from France. Do you know de Laviere's books, the strength training anatomy workout 1, 2, and 3? I might know a cover, but let me just look here. And if I pronounce it incorrectly, I'm sorry. De Laviere is about as close to proper French as I can muster. But let's see. De Laviere, and we have, I know I've probably seen the cover. I've seen everything. When you're old like me, you forget more than you. And of course, I probably spelled something wrong. De Laviere Strength Training Academy. Is it not available on Amazon? Oh, here we go. Oh, Strength Training Anatomy. Why did I put Academy? That's why I couldn't. That's why I could not. Frederick de Laviere. De Laviere. I think you're going to recognize the cover of these books, a lot of you. This one looks very, very familiar, the red and the yellow one. You know, I've seen this book before, but I've never actually purchased it. I've never actually had anybody go to me and say, Yeah, this is why is it not loading? 4,000 ratings and 5-star. That has my attention.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to nail a 5-star rating on anything on Amazon. So good heads up. No, don't know anything about it, but I'm definitely going to check it out now. We'll add it to the old Carteruski. Cat, I woke up in the night like 2 times to go to the toilet since like 6 months. Could the reason be a high protein diet? No, the reason is you're old. I get up 3 times a night to pee. It's kind of like, Robert, when you're young, you can sleep through the night. And when I wouldn't consider myself a huge water drinker.
Mm-hmm.
I have to force myself to drink enough, and then I consume. I would say I'm a moderate water drinker, but still, I get up a couple times during the middle of the night to urinate. So I don't find anything alarming about it, especially since your normal weight, 170 pounds. If you were diabetic and had fluctuating blood sugar issues, and there are some conditions that have frequent urination and nighttime urination, but at your weight, I think you're just old, getting older. What do you think, Robert?
Yeah, I mean, I wake up twice. I'm only 35, and I wake up and go to pee a couple of times a night. And I mean, part of it is I eat late, so your body's processing all of that and then get rid of the excess water that it doesn't need. So yeah, I mean, are you having pain? I mean, is there any issues with, is there a limited flow, or it feels like it's just trickling out? If that's so, then you might have an issue. But if it's just normal pee and stuff like that, and maybe you're eating late, I wouldn't attribute it to protein. If you were drinking a lot of water or having a lot of high water containing foods, like a bunch of berries, a bunch of vegetables, or something immediately before bed, that could have, possibly be some of the reason that you're going pee a couple of times in the night. But it may also help, stop drinking fluids 3-4 hours before bed if you can.
Yeah, I mean, the body is a weird thing. As you age, you tend to notice how your gut doesn't like trash food as much. You tend to urinate more during the night. I don't know if we're just growing wiser or what, but I don't ever remember when I was younger getting up to urinate during the night.
No, your melatonin levels are also greater when you're younger than when you're older. Those actually start to dwindle. That's part of the reason old people don't sleep as much or have difficulty sleeping, is our natural melatonin production declines a little bit.
All right, what do we got here? We're about an hour in, guys, so keep the questions coming. We will continue to answer, and I appreciate you guys' support of this channel. Prayers to the folks of Texas. Will creatine make your body weight plateau on the scale? If you're trying to lose weight, no. It won't prevent you from losing weight. Robert, I'm going to let you jump in on this one.
No, creatine won't prevent you from losing fat. The initial week or two when you're taking creatine, there will be some water retention. That's your body saturating with creatine, and it'll store extra water, because creatine, in addition to increasing creatine phosphate stores in the muscle, it also increases water retention within your muscle bellies, which is one of the mechanisms by which creatine enhances exercise performance and recovery, is the added hydration that you get. But that is going to be a very small change, like maybe 3-4 pounds of water, and then that'll eventually wash out or normalize after taking it for a couple of weeks. It will not prevent you from actually losing fat, though. That's going to be the key thing. Which is why, in addition to tracking body weight, try to make sure you're doing tape measures of 2 of your abs, your thighs, maybe your glutes, your chest, or something like that. But creatine isn't going to inhibit fat burning. It'll cause you to retain a little bit of water the first couple of weeks you're taking it, but that normalizes over the ensuing weeks.
A lot of people come to me and freak out because their weight might slow for a week or 2 when they get on creatine. I'm like, we have to be reasonable and remember that body has 2 aspects, muscle mass and fat. Those are the 2 things that we're most concerned with. If you're eating properly and in a deficit, you've been losing weight, and you go through a week or 2 where things normalize or stabilize, it's not a stopping of fat loss.
Yeah. It's getting warmer outside. I just saw a huge sheet of ice just fall off the roof right there for the window. That's on the other side.
Oh, you looked up like this and like you were like really super distracted, and I was trying to check out the reflection in your glasses to see if your wife went by and shaked her titties or something.
Oh no, it was a sheet of ice that just came off the roof.
No offense to Sandy, but wacky women can do stuff like that sometimes.
She's never actually done that to me, so if she ever did that, that would be a first.
No, my wife hasn't either, but
one can dream.
She respects the sanctity of Massive Iron Live.
Agreed.
Now, what do we got? Stan, if I want to try some intra-workout carbs, how many carbs would you add to it? Now, Robert, before you dive into this, how soon into a workout should you have carbs?
It really depends on when your pre-workout meal was. So how early did you eat prior to your training session? So if you ate a decent meal, like a bowl of oatmeal with a scoop of whey protein in it or something like that, and you had that an hour before training, you really don't need any intra-workout carbs. Now, if you ate maybe 2 or 3 hours before training, then yeah, I could see a good argument made for some intra-workout carbs. Or if you're just somebody that has such a high calorie need to like gain muscle, but you have a very low appetite, then you could put intra-workout carbs in there regardless of when you ate your pre-workout meal to your post-workout meal. So those are a few things to wrap the situation and give it some context and perspective. How soon? So it's obviously going to depend on when you had your pre-workout meal and how many carbs were in that pre-workout meal. If all you had was a protein shake before your training session, then you can start sipping on it as soon as you wanted to. Assuming that it's been a relatively decent amount of time since you've had something to eat that was some carb-containing meal. So let's say greater than 2.5 hours before your training session. You could start sipping it immediately if you wanted to. Just start sipping it during your rest breaks or something like that. And for the average resistance training session, which lasts somewhere between 60 to 90 minutes, 25 to 40 grams of carbs, 20 to 40 grams of carbs is going to be more than enough. I mean, I've heard even like the big drug-fueled bodybuilders out there, they said they've gone upwards of like 60 to 100 grams of carbs in their intra-workout shake, and all it did was leave them feeling heavy, sluggish, and lethargic. And this is guys that are also using insulin and all these other things too. For the regular guys like us that aren't on any kind of performance-enhancing chemicals, you really only need 20 to 40 grams of a carbohydrate source. And even then, I wouldn't worry necessarily with the super fancy carb powders on the market, like the cluster dextrins, the carb 10s, any of that stuff. Just find yourself some Gatorade powder or just some dextrose and just mix that up into your shake with some BCAAs if you want to, or amino acids. You don't need the BCAAs, but just to give it some flavoring. Or just buy some Gatorade powder, throw 1 scoop of that in there, shake it, go, and you're done. You'll be more than set there, Stein.
I'm going to tell you guys to check out Honey Stingers as well. Running World has taught me a lot about, let's see if I can find it here, a lot about refueling and not bonking. And let's just share here. If you guys can find these on Amazon, Honey Stingers, the running world loves them, but I really like them as a good idea for the lifting world. Some of them have caffeine, some of them don't. They're about 120 calories, honey-based. And if I'm going to do a long run, I'll take these 15 minutes in, and then I'll take them an hour and 15 minutes in. Try to eat every hour about 120 calories, 120 calories, and it makes a big difference. So for those of you guys that are training a little bit longer, like an hour and 15, hour and 30 minutes, or you're going to do cardio after your workout, you might want to consider, getting some like 20 to 40 grams. I don't find it takes a lot for me to feel better. So if you're going to be in the gym for a while, it's probably be in the gym for 2 hours and 15 minutes. You might want to take something 15 minutes in, an hour and 15 minutes in. It seems counterproductive, but if you're not just in there specifically weight, you're in there for general health and you want to keep your energy levels up and performance up and build muscle, then this is a suggestion. Justin, 1.5 bench, 2 squat, 2.5 deadlift. So these standards something you can achieve in your 40s. I got to my strongest in my 40s. I think most men have the potential to probably do the same thing, barring any unique injuries. 1.5 bench, isn't. I mean, there's not a lot of. I hate to say it's not that hard, but there's not a lot of normal-ish weight people anymore.
Yeah.
So if you're a man 200 to 220, there's no reason you can't get to that in your 40s. Squats generally are the hardest of people that I see coaching, because like 200 pounds, a 2 times squat, they're pretty rare, in the real world and people I coach. Deadlifts 2.5, I don't know. Deadlifts and bench I think are easier than squat. I just don't see a lot of big squatters, and the squat is a really hard thing to coach online. So all of it is achievable, though. The squat, in my opinion, will be the most difficult. Big hairy ugly dude. Hi from the UK. Starting your GVT this week. I like it. The struggle feels great. Thanks. Just make sure you are nailing your nutrition and nailing your protein intake. And Kenneth is saying it's the Spitzer valve. I think it's actually the Fetzer valve, and this is a reference to Fletch inspects a plane. I believe I didn't want to correct you, Kenneth, and be a jerk, but I'm like, my brain was like, I think it's a Fetzer valve. So, and then I had to search. It says, now that you prepare that Fetzer valve with some 3-in-1 oil and some gauze pads, and I'm going to need about 10 quarts of antifreeze, preferably pressed stone. They'll make that Quaker State, and those windows have got some filth and muck on them. So that's kind of the. I had to go back in time to process Fletch. I think the lady who called you from the chop shop must have failed her Wendy's exam.
Oh.
I don't know. like I'm a get to the point guy. Hey, this is Susie from the auto place. This is wrong. This is wrong. It'll be $72. Like, okay, thank you. Do it. But anyway, sorry to put you guys through that. Lady at the garage will never know she was live to 1 million people. No, she won't either. I'll let her know. I'm finally glad to make a live. Welcome aboard, David. Glad you're here. Is an arm day necessary if you want big, juicy guns? I've never done an arm day, and I just haven't. You can. It's not a requirement, no. Robert, you ever done an arm day? You ever get sexually turned on by doing an arm day?
I mean, given my lack of enthusiasm for bicep training that I just discussed earlier, and I have said over the past weeks, I've never done a pure arm day. I've done a shoulders and arms day, which I like that. I like if I'm doing a rotation of like chest and back, legs and shoulders and arms, then a rest day, and then chest and back again or something. I like that rotation a lot because after I do like chest, I don't have such an issue. Or if I'm doing chest, shoulders, I don't have much of an issue doing triceps after it. But back, like you mentioned earlier, you're really not all that jazzed to do biceps after doing a bunch of other heavy pulling exercises. That's kind of how I feel with biceps, but putting them with shoulders, I find that I have more excitement. I don't even know if that's the right word though, because I never really look forward to doing arms, or I never get like super excited to do them. But I find I get a more productive workout, and I'm more in tune with it, or more mentally locked in and motivated to push harder when I pair them with shoulders than if I try to do like a back and bi split and chest, shoulders, and tries, or just chest and tries on a separate shoulder day or something like that. So I've never done just arms by themselves, and if I did, I would probably still make it somewhat of a compound movement. Like my first exercise would be chin-ups, and then I'd probably superset that with dips, and then I go into the isolation movements, and that would be like an arm day, even though it's kind of an all-around upper body day, since the chest and shoulders are involved with dips, and the lats, rhomboids, and the biceps are involved with pull-ups and all of that stuff. So if I was to do a pure arm day, I would be leading with those two heavy hitter bodyweight exercises first, and then move into the isolation work. But no, I've never done an arm day by itself. I don't enjoy arm training that much. I like compound movements much more.
Yeah, if I were doing arm day, I'd probably leave with dips and chin-ups,
or a close grip bench maybe, or something like that.
I don't know. I tend to do a lot of bench heavy movements on bench day, so that would probably still be on bench day. But I'd probably do something lighter. What do we got here? Same thing. Sorry. If you can bench 15 reps your own body weight, are you strong? That's relatively strong. I mean, if you're a 160-pound guy and you can do that for 15 reps, that's pretty good for your body weight. If you're 240 and you can do that for 15 reps, that's pretty good. So yeah, I say so. Thoughts on taking 2 scoops of creatine a day? So I have always felt better pumps on more creatine, but I'm a bigger guy, right? So I know 5 grams is kind of the holy grail. Yeah, so there's generally, not any reason to take more than 5 grams. But I've always felt a little better on a little bit more, and that's always been a little bit controversial, but I don't know if it's placebo or what. So thoughts, Robert?
Yeah, I mean, first it would depend on what size scoop is he using. Like, is it a 3-gram scoop of creatine? Is it a 5-gram scoop? Is he using creatine hydrochloride, which usually only comes in 2-gram scoops? Assuming it's creatine monohydrate and his scoop is a 5-gram scoop, there's no need, Shashank. And you're a regular listener on here, commenter. Judging by your picture, I'm going to say you're probably not as big as Steve, so you probably don't need to go above the 5-gram recommended dosing protocol. If you are a very big individual, like 250, 300 pounds, 350, you're going to need, between 5 and 10 grams. But if you're sub, 225, you probably don't need more than 5 grams a day. Does it have any negative effects? Not necessarily, unless you have some kind of kidney problems or anything like that. Positive effects? No, there's not really going to be, outside of the initial 1 or 2 week loading phases where you're doing 20 grams a day. But taking more creatine than there's no additional benefit. There's no additive effect to overdoing creatine. If anything, you're burning through your tub of creatine faster and you'll have to buy another one sooner.
All right. Keep happy. I take 10 grams. It makes up for the days that I forget to take it. You really don't want to forget to take it. That's the thing with creatine. One thing I stress to my clients every day, like brushing your tooth. Brushing that last tooth you got. That last meth tooth. You want to keep brushing that last meth tooth every single day. So that's more important. Robert, if somebody takes creatine every other day, what advice do you have for them? Let's say every second or third day.
I mean, that's fine, provided you're already saturated with creatine. That's fine. I mean, doing that 5 grams every other day is going to be more than enough to keep you saturated. Because let's say you go completely off creatine, so you reach saturation, you took it for 6 months straight, you're fully saturated with creatine, then you go on like an extended vacation, or Christmas happens and you're traveling with just family and friends and you're gone for a month. Your creatine stores will stay topped off for a couple of weeks. It'll be maybe by the end of that 4th or 5th week that they start to dwindle, and then you'll have to resaturate. But it's not like you stop taking it for 2 days and your creatine stores plummet all of a sudden. It takes weeks for the decay to take place and for your body's natural creatine stores to die off. So for Keep Happy, I don't know if you need to take 10 grams every day. Even if you're taking 5 grams every other day, you're going to be fine. And there was a recent study that came out. It was either the end of 2019 or early part of 2020 that gave resistance training subjects just creatine on their training days, and it was only 4 days a week. And they still saw added benefits to creatine supplementation, even though they weren't taking it every day. So, if you're taking your creatine, take 5 grams of it post-workout, and that'll give you the most bang for your buck in terms of taking your creatine. If there was ever, so big picture, take creatine every day. Timing of the day is irrelevant. We want to get a little bit, smaller picture and like optimize things a little bit. Take 5 grams immediately post-workout, preferably with like a protein and carbohydrate containing meal, because that'll increase insulin levels in the body. Insulin will facilitate the absorption and delivery of creatine into your muscle cells a little bit more efficiently than if you just took it, fasted first thing in the morning.
Thanks, Robert. I appreciate it. Before we dive in, I'm just going to tell a little personal story. I'm thinking about starting a run called Man You're Fat. Because, one thing about YouTube is I will get people rolling in here who don't know me, don't know my history or whatever. And because I'm sitting in here, because I'm sitting in here in a hoodie because my office is freezing. I got a space heater to the left and one for the dog to the right. I get the occasional comment on every video. Somebody will call me fat. They don't know that I run, hour, 2 hours a day. So I was like, I'm going to start a race called Man You're Fat. It can be a virtual race, but anybody that thinks I'm fat just because I don't strip down to my shirt like, Greg Doucette or Ryan Humiston or whatever, or even sexy Alan Roberts, I'm going to challenge them to join me on the Man Your Fat 50K run. And if they don't time themselves and see how far they can go in 12 hours, then I'll say, man, you're out of shape. If I'm fat and can do 50K, whatever. Julian, one of my biggest ways I progress is by seeing how my clothes fit. Yeah, that's when you're losing weight, that's a good way to do it. And when you're gaining weight, I've noticed like sometimes the arms don't fit well or the jeans don't fit well because of size gain. So that's a good way of measuring things. Robert, here you go. Why do bodybuilders take BCAAs? Lane Norton, that's why.
Because they're contracted or employed by a supplement company or sponsored by a supplement company, and the supplement company is selling BCAA, so they're using that to market it. That's one reason. Another reason, there was some early research. Lane Norton did some research on BCAAs, and he was a big proponent of it back in his early days as a researcher when he was doing his PhD stuff. It's BCAAs. There's research showing that the 3 BCAAs, primarily leucine, so the 3 branch chain amino acids, leucine, isoleucine, and valine, they stimulate mTOR, which is the protein pathway in the body that drives protein synthesis. Leucine is the most anabolic of all the amino acids. It's the king of the essential amino acids, or all amino acids. That is the most powerful stimulator of mTOR that we basically have as a nutrient. A few other things will stimulate mTOR, but leucine is about as potent as a trigger as we have from food sources or dietary supplement sources. And so they did these early studies and said, like, hey, you take 14, 28 grams of BCAAs, you can build lean mass. But you look at these early studies, and the subjects in them are consuming only like 50 or 80 or 100 grams of protein a day. So they're not consuming, the 1 gram per pound of body weight that you should, or 0.8 grams per pound of body weight that you should to fully drive protein synthesis in the body, provide your body with enough of the building blocks it needs to actually synthesize and create and repair muscle tissue. However, when it's kind of like the same thing with the volume studies, we see like high frequency and high volume studies beat low volume stuff, but when volume's equated, everything kind of washes out. The same principle here applies with BCAAs. If you're consuming enough protein during the day, consuming additional amino acids on top of that, additional BCAAs on top of that, has no additive impact in terms of muscle growth. There is a slight benefit for maybe recovery and reducing delayed onset muscle soreness, but in terms of increasing muscle protein synthesis and overall muscle mass, if you're consuming enough protein during the day, consuming additional BCAAs really don't seem to have any benefit from the research side of things. There's a bunch of anecdotes from bodybuilders saying that, hey, I supplement with 10 grams of EAs in my intra-workout shake, or I take 20 grams of EAs immediately post-workout, and I notice faster recovery. That's fine. That's that's great. That's their N of 1 experience, and that's perfectly well and good. But do you absolutely need to take BCAAs and EAs to get results or recover faster? Within the context of you consuming enough protein during the day, no, you don't need to take it. But that's the reason to take is that there was some early research showing that it improved exercise performance, muscle recovery, and 1 or 2 studies that it improved lean mass gains. The caveat is all of those studies, the subjects were not consuming adequate dietary protein each day. And they were taking a lot more than the 5-gram scoop you're getting from these supplement companies. They were taking somewhere between 14 to 30 grams of branch chains.
There was a time in my life where I took BCAAs every day. One thing I would do, I would take a half scoop of a pre-workout and a scoop of BCAAs, and I'd make my own, what I called my, building energy drink. It just had something with flavor that wasn't water, and it felt healthier. But during those times, felt like my muscle soreness was better, but it's been years since I've taken any, and I don't notice any difference, and I'm exercising more than I ever have. So
yeah, and something else to consider is that when you're a byproduct of taking those BCAAs, a lot of the times it's also causing you to ingest more fluid, so you're staying more hydrated, and you're also getting electrolytes in with a lot of these amino acid supplements. They have added electrolytes, so who's to say that maybe the extra fluids and electrolytes you're doing is helping attenuate some of that muscle soreness as well. And I don't want to shit on BCAAs. You don't need them, but I sip on them each day. It's just because I get tired of drinking plain water, and it's nice to just drink something that's either tart flavored or sweet flavored. It's something that's got flavor on it besides water.
Yeah, MTS Nutrition had when I was over there, That's some rock solid flavors. I would sip on that stuff all day, just because it's better than just sipping on water, all the time. And call us weird, but hey, flavor. I'm 47 years old. I know sleep is important, but my body gets up at 5 hours of sleep. I rarely am able to get 7 hours. Should I use strong sleeping aids to get more sleep? Well, we do know, what the average person needs and requires and what the benefit of sleep. And hormonally, it's very, very important. I will say if your body's not cooperating, you might want to get your hormonal profile just checked out, especially at your age, just to see how things are going, And like I notice when I jump back into a cut and I don't eat a lot after 5 p.m., I have a hard time sleeping. My body doesn't always adjust well. So there's some things you can adjust in that equation. But yes, sleep is important. I would get checked out. Go to LabCorp or something and get your hormonal profile checked out and have a doctor look at it. It's not that expensive. Thoughts, Robert?
You got to be careful with certain sleeping aids. Certain ones actually they will help you fall asleep, but they can actually disrupt REM sleep. They can also be habit forming, and they can also certain ones like Phenibut. They're in addition to habit forming, they also come with a bit of tolerance buildup into where you have to keep taking more and more and more. And then eventually they cause nasty withdrawal symptoms and insomnia when you come off of them. So you got to be real careful with these sleep aids. I mean, it's low dose melatonin. You can try some theanine, try some ashwagandha, which kind of helps just acts as a natural relaxant and anti-stress, anti-anxiety benefits, which may help you get more quality sleep. A lot of the times when people take melatonin specifically, it kind of burns through their system fast and they find out that they got really deep sleep, but then they're awake, like wide awake at like 4 or 5 in the morning, which has happened to me before. You can look into a sustained release or a delayed release melatonin in that instance. That would be it. I would not go for things like Ambien or ZQuil, which is basically just a double shot of Benadryl, or the diphenhydramine, the little pink tablets. I don't really suggest doing those because those are anticholinergics, and you take too many of those too often, and it can actually mess with your acetylcholine pathways in the brain, which eventually can have some other deleterious impacts on as far as cognitive function, long-term memory, those things, and learning. So I would be very careful with the stronger sleep aids, natural ones. The melatonins, the theanines, valerian root, lemon balm. I'm a little bit more okay with those being used regularly, but lounging on the couch counts as rest, yes, but it's not a replacement for sleep.
Yeah, and there's other things. There's so many avenues we could explore here. How big is your neck size? Do you have any form of sleep apnea? I mean, 5 hours of sleep, what the quality of sleep can vary from person to person. So too much for us to dig in here, but I would do what you can to try to improve it from sleep hygiene, natural supplementation, maybe eating a little bit more before bedtime to see if that helps. And more sex, less stress, just anything you can do to, if your hormonal profile is indicating something's not great, it might be worth taking a deeper look into that with a real doctor.
Limiting blue light exposure and caffeine and alcohol before bed too.
Faster the Dragster 2.0, not 2.0A. That hasn't been released yet. Is eating red meat such as sirloin like creatine? For whatever reason, creatine gives me massive headaches to the point where I feel like my head's going to explode.
You would need to eat several pounds of red meat to get the amount of creatine that you would get from a 5-gram scoop of creatine. So you're looking somewhere between 3 and 5 pounds of red meat a day to get that much creatine, which that would get very, very expensive and cost prohibitive for most people. Plus, you probably just get tired of eating that much red meat in a day. I'm curious. I've never heard creatine giving somebody a headache. I can't think of the mechanism by which that would be happening. Is it possible your creatine supplement has some other ingredients in it that might be causing it? I'm not sure which creatine product you're using. I've never heard of anybody getting a headache from creatine. Maybe take a smaller dose of it if possible, instead of taking like a 5-gram dose all at the same time. Maybe try doing like a 2.5-gram dose in the morning and have a 2.5-gram dose at night, or take it with food. Don't take it on an empty stomach or something like that. But I've never heard of creatine giving somebody a headache. That's interesting.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. If anything gives me a headache, I'm not putting it in my mouth until I can figure out why. Graybeard, if I pay double, can I build huge arms in 11 seconds instead of 22? Yep, you can. And thank you. That coaching program will be $499. So it'll be delivered as soon as I figure out how to make that possible, which could never happen. All right. When doing a 6-day split, can I use the other rest day on any day? Yes. And second, you're working out way too much. Okay. I'm going to say this, and it needs to be said. I'm not a fan of working out in any way, shape, or form more than 5 days a week. So you can do a push-pull-leg split. I would insert rest days in there, so you're only working out 5 days a week. Get some rest, for the love of God. When somebody's able to sustain that, I'm worried that their intensity and their progression is not where it should be. And there's a lot of junk volume, because if you're training hard, it's hard to keep up physically and emotionally and mentally with training 6 days a week. Sooner or later, you're like, man, I need a break. So, Robert, anything to add there?
Nope. You said everything I was going to basically just say, Steve.
Anybody of my clients that do a push-pull leg, I really encourage them, if possible, to insert 2 rest days. If they want to be suicidal and with me, that's fine, because I know they're on my progression approach. And sooner or later, we'll monitor things until they break down. But I would really consider 2 rest days and keep them intuitive or natural or whatever.
Yeah.
Dennis, 24, 6'4", 225, never active. What in the world's going on here? Oh, never active prior to this. Started 2 years ago. How to train with problematic lower back. MRI 10 years ago showed degenerative changes. A lot of that is just personal experience. I don't know your struggle, but I do know each of us is unique, and we need to find exercises that work for us and exercises that don't work. And we also need to talk to our doc, physical therapist, etc. If your lower back is giving you issues, you can get away without squats. You can get away with lifts and even RDLs. There's going to be some movements, basically upper back movements that might be more stressful on your lower back. So you got to kind of see. On squats, start there. Okay, you can't go heavy. How does it feel when you do like 3 sets of 10? Does that feel better? What does your doc say? So I don't know, Robert, what do you think?
Yeah, try to find exercise variations that don't irritate your low back. So for upper back exercises, you could do things like pull-ups. You can do inverted rows. You could do chest-supported rows. You could do seal rows. Just don't worry about doing any kind of standing row variation if possible. You could do cable rows. You could do the chest-supported rows, so either a T-bar row, or if you're on an incline bench with dumbbells and you're doing it that way, you can do that. One-arm rows where you're supported, and you're doing one-arm dumbbell rows that way. For legs, front squats maybe a little bit less because there's less axial loading directly on your spine. It's in the weight's in the front of your body. Front rack kettlebell squats, goblet squats, Bulgarian split squats, reverse lunges, anything that gets the weights like in your hands and off your spine. That can help save your lower back some more too. Leg press is good. Leg curls, either on the machine, or you can do sliding floor leg curls or stability ball leg curls, and that gives you some serious cramping in your hamstrings there. Unilateral exercises too, like landmine RDLs or a one-legged RDL with a dumbbell and stuff, that helps reduce axial strain as well.
So at first glance, I didn't really focus on the second half of your statement. You're doing 365 for 3 sets of 8 on deadlifts. You're stronger than most people will ever get.
Yeah.
If you're doing squats at 225 for 3 sets of 8, you're stronger than most people will ever get. If that's doing fine for you, then the only thing I would say is keep at it and just load slowly when it makes sense. I also don't like at this point doing 3 heavy sets for deads. That's going to involve probably a little bit of sloppiness. What I do is I do threes. I do one set with about 7 to 8 reps, and then back off on deadlift 7.5% and do comfortable max reps, and then back off another 7.5% and do comfortable max reps. So as you gain fatigue, you're backing off the weight a little bit, but still pushing the lift relatively hard. All right. What are your thoughts on RPE versus percentage training? First off, I will say RPE is like trying to evaluate your own ability at sex, right? When you're new at sex, you probably think you're a lot better than you are, and the more experience you get, the more you realize you are a lot further off than you thought you were. So RPE, I don't like RPE for anybody other than an experienced lifter. I find it a rather useless. It's just my opinion. I'm not trying to guess how many reps I was away from failure. I don't see what the point of this in muscle and strength building. I never personally advocate stop a set when you're an RPE 7, 3 reps shy, whatever. I don't do that kind of stuff. I don't see the point in programming. I simply don't. Rep goal system or things I do, I try to get people to tune in more on form. Stop a set when your form breaks down. Stop a set when you feel like you might fail on the next rep. Practice safe sets. If I had to guess how many reps I was away from failure, it'd be like guessing my calorie intake per day. I'd be way off. And I think the newer you are to training, the more you're going to be way off base. Percentage training, sorry to go on and on, Robert, but percentage training for what? I'm going to do 75% for 3 reps and then 80 for 2 and whatever. I've done some workouts at percentage training, but they were in the context of a progression approach. I do percentage training for peaking programs, but for the average individual, both of these are absolutely useless and a waste of time. And they're missing so many other variables. They're trying to reduce everything down to, powerlifting think, which is completely fucking useless for 99% of us. Robert, anything to add?
No, you surmised basically everything I was thinking. I was going to say the percentage-based training is mostly for the strength athlete, power lifter that's trying to go for peaking towards competition or doing that, the linear progression model approach or something like that. RPE stuff, for like the beginners, early intermediates, don't even mess with that. Push the set to within a rep or two of failure to where you feel like your form's breaking down or you're grinding a rep out and it's like aching to like you're shoot. It's a grind to get that rep, to completion. Push it to there. You don't need to go to absolute failure, but your early years of lifting, even into your early intermediate years of lifting, you don't need to fuck around with RPE. It's way too much of a guessing game, and that's just one more thing you're trying to think about when you're lifting. It's like, all right, am I at a 3 RPE this week? And then you have to try and guess next week. All right, I'm going to purposely hold back and just go to 2 RPE next week and then go to the next one. But what if you're feeling really great that day and your RPE thing says, oh, you got to stay 3 back, but you're feeling like a rock star. Why not just push it and see what you can actually do that day? I don't like I can see, the methodology behind it. I think for the average people, that's just adding another layer of complexity that they don't need to bother with when they're still trying to get down the basics of tracking, pushing hard each set, following a logbook, trying to beat the logbook and all of those things.
Now, I know when I'm 1 to 2, I know when I'm like, you can kind of know when the next rep just isn't going down, right?
Yep.
We all have sets like that. And on squats and deadlifts and some exercises, we know, I don't know, I might have 1 or 2 more in the tank. It's hard to tell. Gun to head, I might be able to get 2. But beyond that level, it just gets into the absurd for me. Like, I have 3. If I have 3, I might have 3 reps left, or I might have 4 reps left. That's all bullshit. It's why are we playing that guessing game? Reps in reverse and all this kind of shit. They're tools in the context of a good program. They can be useful. But once you get beyond 2 reps, I'm like, It's just everybody guessing how good they are at sex, right? I think I was like 20 seconds away from pleasuring perfectly. And next time whatever. I don't know. It's just way too much overthinking. Lifting needs less overthinking and more of the basics. That's what I'm here for. I've been doing water fasting for miscellaneous health benefits. Any recommendations about how to train while fasting? If you're trying to build muscle, it's counterproductive. So you have conflicting goals. And that's the bottom line. If you're trying to build muscle and trying to build strength, and then you're going to get under heavy weight and feel fatigue, lightheaded, you're not having any protein intake or whatever, it's conflicting goals. So, you're also talking, should you train light? What's the point in that? What end is that serving? It's like going to play tennis and only hitting 2 balls. Why do you even go to the court? It's and increased recovery time. If you're not eating anything, you're kicking yourself in the balls with recovery anyway. You're trying to reverse engineer recovery time when you're not really you're not going to be able to train properly to really require a recovery time. I don't like it. That's the bottom line. I don't like it. I live in a world of muscle and strength building. I live in a world of endurance running. And if you want to occasionally water fast, great. Take a day off from the gym. But after that, you need to get your electrolytes in. You need to get your simple and complex carbs in before you hit the gym the next day, because these are opposing goals. Any thoughts, Robert?
Yeah, what concerns me is just the opening line, miscellaneous health benefits. What health benefits are you hoping to obtain by just drinking water for a day? Is it to give your digestive?
Try not to open that door. You just opened that door.
I know. Is it? Are we trying to go for the autophagy thing?
Yes.
The whole autophagy thing. Intense exercise ramps up the same pathways that the autophagy activates. Like institutes
attacked over this shit over the years. I mean,
I know but hard intense exercise ramps up the same like cell clearing pathways in the body and reprogramming and repair and all of that stuff, getting rid of the dead cells and wiping all of that away and recycling cell components. You're going for like the longevity play. Eating a really healthy diet, getting enough sleep, and feeding your body the nutrients it needs on a daily basis, and exercising hard, does all the same things. It's going to extend the longevity. And all this longevity stuff from fasting, it's all done in rats and cell cultures. We have no idea what it does in healthy human subjects that are just living a normal lifestyle. We have no data to support any of this fasting craze. It's not anabolic. It's not going to help you build muscle faster. It's not going to help you recover faster or anything like that. I'm not big on this fasting craze or even intermittent fasting or anything like that. It's when you say miscellaneous health benefits, that's very, very, yeah. I mean, and you know what? This is coming from somebody that's Catholic, that's been told to fast and only eat 1 meal a day on Fridays during Lent. You're not supposed to have meat and anything like that. I mean, do I think I'm getting increased muscle recovery or anything like that? And this is part of the reason I'm seeing that's like the last comment that just came up in the thread is from Dave, who's one of our regular commenters, who says, "Isn't fasting for mental and spiritual benefits, not physical health?" I mean, do I think I feel better mentally and spiritually when I was abstaining from meat as a Catholic on Fridays and stuff? No, because in New Orleans, if you know anything about New Orleans, it's like Mecca, and so are people in New Orleans really sacrificing when they're gorging on fried shrimp, fried crawfish, fried seafood, butter, crawfish etouffee, shrimp etouffee? No, I don't think there's any spiritual or mental health benefits to be obtained. At least I don't feel like that. I mean, sure, does it give you like the mental fortitude that I can push through everything? Yeah, but I mean, I just got through living for 5 days without power in my house, and I did that without fasting too. There's other ways to build mental fortitude and spiritual strength than going on a water fast where you're impairing your body's ability to thrive and deal with you're suppressing your own immune function too by not feeding it the nutrients it needs. And rant over.
Kenneth, I just got to say, and I hope you, I hope we can remain rational and reasonable about this. But there are certain individuals out there that turn fasting into a cult-like religion filled with a wonderment of health benefits.
Yeah, Dr. Jason Fung.
Right. And we have, look, in the short term, if you want to take a day, a month, and unplug for mental reasons or spiritual reasons, or just to give your body a break from the bulk of food digestion, that's your prerogative. You know, whatever reasoning you have, that's great. The frequent fasting, and I've had clients that do this, the frequent desire to fast for a day or two every single week or multiple times a week, it's unbalanced. Okay. It's you know, it conflicts with other goals. You know, you got to focus for work. You got to focus as a parent. You cannot tell me that you can maintain the same amount of focus and energy and drive. It's going to conflict with performance goals. It's going to conflict with recovery goals. We just need to understand that. And we need to understand that whatever it is in life, in any corner, somebody is raising it up as a religion, as near cult-like level. And we need to process that as rational, reasonable adults. I'm not in. I'm into getting bigger and stronger. I've done fasting occasionally in the past. I understand it, but it just can muscle and strength building and performance. All right. Greetings from Texas. You know, we got up to nearly 90 people watching at the same time, Robert. We're down to 83. Just a reminder, if we get to 100, Robert will take his shirt off and titty dance. So pump those views. Stay tuned for that.
I've not had enough bourbon in me for that yet.
Greg Duvier, how difficult is it to get creatine and just eating food? Very.
Pounds and pounds of red meat. You need several pounds of red meat to get enough creatine in you each day.
To get those 5 grams, yes.
Yeah.
Did anyone see when Jeff Cavalier came desperately to show that he would be 22-inch biceps? He did he did one of those tape measuring things where the tape's loose and you don't see the actual measurement. So I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to dive into it. I wouldn't do that sort of thing. It's disingenuous. I would never do that to my audience. I've measured it live. I've measured it legit. And that's what I'm about. And that's all I'll say. Do I need direct forearm? No. Or trap work? Yes. I think a well-rounded traps, yes. It's good for deadlifts. It's good for yoke. It's good for that overall neck, head strength. Direct forearm work, I've done it occasionally over the years, but anybody that lifts weights over the course of 10, 20 years doesn't need forearm work. So that's just my opinion. What's going on, UK? All right. Hey, guys, got the Versa grips. They're awesome for pulling, even works with bands. Question, thoughts on Tier 1 pre-workout? Do you know what that is, Robert?
Let me pull it up and see.
Tier 1. Never heard of that one before.
Tier 1 by Citadel Nutrition. Let's see what we got here.
Citadel.
Okay. It is a very, very bare bones pre-workout. It is 5 grams of creatine monohydrate, 3.2 grams of beta-alanine, 3 grams of L-tyrosine, 200 milligrams of caffeine anhydrous. So,
wow, what is that?
It's 4-ingredient pre-workout. It's $32 on their site. I think it's a little overpriced for what you get. I mean, the dosages there, everything are quality. I personally like a little bit more caffeine in my my pre-workout, but the tyrosine dose is very spot on. I like that. You know, most companies only put in like 750 to 1,000 milligrams at most. More often than not, they're putting in 500 milligrams. The creatine and beta-alanine are not going to provide any acute benefit. So taking it immediately pre-workout is not going to give you any acute benefit outside of, you know, the buzz of beta-alanine is going to help make you think that the pre-workout may be hitting a little harder. I'll tell everybody right now, in the pre-workout that we're formulating, Steve, I'm putting beta-alanine in there. I've got 3.2 grams in there right now based on costs. Maybe that'll be one of the ingredients we drop if cost becomes an issue, just because, I mean, it's got a benefit. Some people love it, some people don't. It's just a way to help people ensure that they're getting it each day. Creatine is not in our pre-workout. That's why we're coming along with a standalone supplement. But this is fine. I think there's some better options on the market. But I mean, if this is like the stim profile that you want, it's perfectly fine. I think they could do more with than just giving you creatine and beta alanine. There's other ingredients you could put in a pre-workout that actually have immediate impact on your forthcoming training session.
Just a pro tip: you could get a caffeine tablet and a scoop of really quality creatine, probably for pennies on the dollar compared to this pre-workout.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. All right, what do we got? I have to eat every 2 hours to keep my blood sugar in check. Do I have any advantages over the 2 meal a day individual? Generally, Robert, it's best to eat like every 3 to 4 hours, correct? And if you eat more frequently, you're not, I generally don't advocate eating 2 meals a day. Do you?
Yeah, from the literature side of things, it's shown that it's best to evenly disperse your protein feedings throughout the day. So you don't want to just gorge on protein like 2 times a day. You want to kind of, equally distribute it, maybe 3, 4, 5, up to 6 meals a day is going to be more beneficial than just trying to like slam it all in at 1 or 2 meals at the end of the day. That way you're providing those little pulses in protein and amino acids your body needs to spike protein synthesis. And then you have that refractory period and then you boost it again and then it goes back down again.
Yeah. So, my wife's kind of one of those that says if she doesn't eat in the morning that she, feels like crap.
Sandy's the same way.
Yeah, so everybody's a little bit different that way. Nicholas Peterson, thoughts on decreasing calories from carbs first when dieting down or decreasing fats? I mean, everything in dieting is carb adjustment. And let me explain. And Robert, you can smack me in the testicles if you think I'm off base. But generally, about 25 to 30% of your daily calorie intake should be fats. And your protein intake is going to be about the same. When you're cutting, you probably want a little bit more, maybe 20, maybe 30 more grams of protein. But the difference between cutting and bulking is you're going to be probably eating a lot more carbs or a lot fewer carbs. Carbs are really the wheelhouse of the adjustment. Adjusting naturally just in grams. Like when you're eating less food, you're going to be eating less fat, so there's no need to adjust them, right?
Yep.
Because your protein is what your protein is. And your fats, because you're eating less food, and because they're 9 calories per gram, they're not going to bounce around a lot. The main majority of what you're going to be changing in anything is going to be carbs. Correct me if I'm wrong, kind sir.
No, I mean, the one caveat would only be that if you're bulking and you're at you need a super high calories and you got sick of stuffing down rice, oats, bread, and pasta and all that stuff, and you started doing like a ton more fats, then maybe you would decrease fats first when you're going through that, just to keep your carbs a little bit higher. But there's a bottom threshold that you want to go for fats. You don't want to drop them too low. The bare minimum that you need is about 0.3 grams per pound of body weight per day. So if you weigh 100 kilos, the lowest you would possibly want to go is 33 grams of fat a day. But even then, you're going to feel like shit. So where most people go somewhere between 0.4 to 0.5 grams per pound of body weight when they're dieting. So yeah, that would be that would probably be my recommendation. It's a mix, and there's there we go. My brain is all muddled from a week of nonsense. There's going to be an element of individualness to this, to where some people function better on higher carbs and lower fats when they're dieting, and some other people feel greater satiety with higher fats and lower carbs. It really boils down to how's your recovery, how's your hunger, how's your sleep, how's your mood. All of that's going to tell you which way to swing that ratio of decreasing carbs first or decreasing fats first, and what's your starting level of carb and fat intake. Are you really above that 0.5 gram per pound of body weight of fats per day, or are you, just right at that threshold to where you maybe want to start pulling back from carbs first?
Thank you, Robert. Thoughts on going heavy on curls? No. Triceps? No.
Yes, well, especially long head. That's when you're getting your arm up overhead like that and do. I'm not going into the 5 rep range for that shit.
I'm just not being a dickwad here. Triceps. So many people on. in coaching folks, so many people struggle with elbow issues related to going too heavy on triceps exercises in general. One thing I have to slow them down is getting a little bit more reps, get the blood pumping, stop going so heavy. We still have progression in the mix. Elbow tendon health, it's going to be the opposite. You're going to start going heavy on like barbell curls. You're going to probably feel a lot more tendon and elbow stress. So I'm not sure where that came out of, but from my personal experience, no. You know, those are smaller muscle groups. Elbow health is a real issue by going heavy on them. Those are things, the heavy work's done. Now we're going to get in some volume and progression. So, all righty, Asteroid. If I accidentally cheat on a lean bulk, there's no, like, you can eat a donut. It's okay. And a lean bulk, you know, why are you going super strict? That's when you should be like licking donuts and you know, 2,000 I think you mean 200 calories above maintenance. Should I continue being in a small surplus? No. One blip on the radar screen, that's normal life, man. And we're up to 90 viewers. So if we get to 100, Robert's going to titty dance. We're up to that's normal living. Don't. You're going to see a water weight spike. If you go over 1,000 calories a day, twice a month, that's not going to get you fat. That's 2,000 extra calories a month. You know, and if you know that divided by 30 days, it's like 60 calories a day. It's not really a lot, really. So, Robert, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you said I really hope that's 200 calories above maintenance, not 2,000. I mean, you don't accidentally eat 2,000 extra calories in a day. That there's nothing accidental about that.
Yeah. So, look, I mean, crash diet, that goes against what we're trying to do, muscle building.
That's also that unhealthy mindset that I was talking about. That's why I don't like this whole cheat meal thing. Like you save up your entire week for this one meal where you're just going to go and eat 5,000 calories. And then you get into this mind fuck where, man, I have to crash diet and I have to starve myself. I can't get fat. That is the unhealthy shit that I'm talking about with this whole cheat meal mindset that is promoted by these fitness-influencers and bodybuilders and bullshit.
Look, man, I made a video about this a while back, a couple months ago, saying the biggest problem with bulking is people tend to overeat frequently. Like they're too loose and they eat like slobs.
Yeah.
If you're in that zone and you're blowing your wad, you know, multiple times a week and going over by 2,000 calories, you got to fix your eating lifestyle because you're going to get fat.
Yeah.
I mean, if that happens occasionally, like on your birthday, you eat cake and have 5 beers, that's cool, right? That's your birthday, whatever. But if this is happening frequently and it's not on a celebration, I mean, just being honest, you need to get your shit together because this is a recipe for a fat loss, the way to gain fat, or not fat loss, fat gain program.
Yeah.
All right. Do I cap arm work at 8 sets for bicep? And there's really no reason to go over that. I mean, if the work is quality and solid, you know, in quality work, there's not a lot of reason to go over that over a long period of time. More is not better. Hey, big hairy ugly dude, I'm 64, 5'6", 170. Congrats on maintaining a normal body weight. Congrats. Bench 1.5 body weight, deadlift 2.5 body weight, squat 2 body weight. Will I get stronger or can I grow more at my age? You can get a little stronger. I mean, obviously, I think you can. You got a lot of it above age 50 is injury management and working with what you know and what works. So we have, you know, and as we age, we tend to eat less as well. So we have a whole new batch of struggles and issues and dynamics. But man, if you can get to those levels, there's always some extra strength you can build. Because strength is not just about, you know, it's not just physiological. It's technical, it's programming. So yes, I believe you can. At 170 pounds, it's going to be a struggle to get that bench up rapidly. Deadlift, you probably have more potential. Squat might be a struggle, but you're doing really good, man. I mean, you got a 340 squat at age 64. God bless you. You're doing wonderful. Scotty Mac, Bebo is coming back. What's a Bebo?
No idea.
And they are already boasting about banning Trump. I got to Google Bebo. I'm not sure if that's going to get anything I've seen.
So glad I stay off social media. I'm so
Bebo
happy.
is coming back in February 2021 as a brand new social network.
Of which I will not give two shits.
Yeah, it went into bankruptcy in 2013. I don't know. And they're already boasting about banning Trump. So they're kind of doing the leftist, whatever. I'm sure they'll get a fringe following. Is there anything I can do to get out of a weight loss plateau on keto? Keto or no keto, man, it all comes down to calories in, calories out. Number one, are you tracking? Number two, are you consistent? So I'd be happy to look at it. But first off, you got to be tracking calories on MyFitnessPal. If not, you're just throwing darts in the dark.
Yep.
Keto is not magic. You can't eat anything you want. Most people eat keto. I'm eating keto. That chick had 1,200 calorie breakfast. That's her calories for the day. I have avocado and 3 eggs and 4 pieces of bacon. And I put olive oil on. Look, Jesus Christ. I mean, you just ate 1,200 calories for breakfast. What people experience when they jump over to keto is usually they're eating whatever they want and they flush water weight out, right? And they're generally eating a little bit healthier than they were, so they flush water weight out. And then they hit a hard plateau, like a dead stop, because they went from eating crap and donuts and bagels and lollipops and bread, and then they just ate healthy and no white sugar, white flour. Their body's going to drop water. But if you don't count calories, there's no hope. Anything to add, Robert?
Nope. You got it all, Steve.
All righty. When doing a 5x5 or a 4x6 for compound lifts, do you stick with the same weight across all the sets, or do you go up in the final weights? What you do is you head over to superlivingtoday.com and buy one of my programs. Because right now I'm trying to. A program is very complex. You can't just look at one part of an engine. You need working in synchronicity. So I'm not being dismissive, but I need to look at the whole program. And when it comes to looking at other people's programs, I would rather have you use one of my programs, because I built mine with that synchronicity and volume balance and progression and whatever. I have 5x5s. So yeah, put money in my pocket. But seriously, do you stick it? You can do anything you want, really. I mean, there's no right or wrong as long as it's a progression approach. I will say, if you're doing a 4x6 and a 5x5, the first set should probably be your heaviest set. You might want to back off. You could back off, weight 5%, and do the same amount of reps. That's probably how I would structure that. But your first set has to be your hardest set, and you probably want to push it for max reps so you have some determiner of progression. Dave, thoughts on solidifying gains, where after hitting a progression goal, repeating for next session before increasing weight? No, that's all monkey piss bullshit. Solidifying gains, that's like I baked a cake, now I'm going to put it in a fridge and let it harden for a week. Whoever came up with that needs a fucking ball slap. And I know you didn't, Dave, so I'm not. Dave's an insider, so I'm not getting on you, Dave, but that's the biggest pile of monkey shit I ever heard. That's going to happen naturally for any. Whoever made this crap up doesn't even understand lifting. They need to go back to something called the gym. I talked about this the other day again. if your bench press is 185 by 6, you're lucky to add 2 reps to that set over the course of a month, because that's adding 10 to 12 pounds to your 1 rep max. Okay. So every other week, you're going to be gaining a rep if you're maxed out at progression. So you're naturally going to be solidifying.
No.
Right. I don't know. Where do people come up with this shit?
I don't know. I think it's, I mean, I remember an old video from Ben Carpenter. He used to be an athlete with PE science several years ago. I don't know if he's still with the company or not, but I thought there was something where he said, like, hey, if you increase your performance one week, then maintain that the next week to solidify your gains, and then the following week try to go up and do that. I don't know. I mean, if you're feeling great, keep pushing. Why hold yourself back?
Yeah, I mean, just take things day by day. And Dave, you know I'm not busting your balls.
Yeah.
It's better just to take things day by day and take what your body gives.
Yeah.
Don't pre-plan deloads. Don't pre-plan down weeks. I mean, it's hard enough to build muscle and strength, so my head hurts. Nuclear overload. Oh, speaking of my head hurts. Oh, Jesus, please. I'm going to do the rosary or something right now. I'm not even Catholic, but I'm about to convert. Nuclear overload training is getting popular. What's the point of this? To waste fucking people's time on bullshit minutia when they haven't even mastered the basics. Oh, my good God. Robert, go.
I don't even know what the program is. I know Scott Herman released a series of videos a while back, like last year sometime, and I've seen the term pop up before. I don't know what it actually entails. I have no idea. It sounds almost like a gimmick thing to sell people to get to, like, there's a magic hack to building muscle and gaining strength effortlessly. It's not going to happen. There's no shortcuts to hard work, consistency, eating enough, and sleeping enough. That's the bottom line. Stone Cold said so.
It's the idea that you're going to target a muscle every day for like a month and then go back to normal. Like, you're going to overload the nuclei. Like, in the long run, none of this shit's going to matter. It's Correct. Like these people that look like fucking heroin addicts that are roping off their, doing blood flow restriction. In the long run, none of this shit matters because, look, let's be honest, 90% of you guys watching just need the basics to master the basics. Like, you're in the NFL or you're in Major League Baseball and you're trying to do advanced techniques and you haven't even mastered basic formation. That's the God's honest truth. Most people need to stop worrying about this nonsense,
Yep.
And master the basics. And the basics, if you master the basics, here's the thing I want you to understand. If you just master and apply the basics for 3 to 4 years, you're fucking done. You're done. You have 95% of the muscle and strength you're ever going to build. And it's cruise control. And you'll never need any of this bullshit. And if you're not getting there after 3 to 4 years, the problem isn't that you're missing nuclei overload or solidifying gains or any other fucking steaming pile of monkey shit. The problem is you don't have the basics. You need to go get fucking strong. Okay.
Bingo.
Following week. All right. Sorry. Stein, I'm not busting your balls. And Dave, I'm not busting your balls. But it's sermon time, and y'all need to come to Jesus. I at 30-pound bench. Getting older sometimes is getting stronger. I was at my strongest at age 49. At my best. So I'm not one that believes age necessary. Sorry to torture you with my sermons, Robert.
No, I love it when you get on these rants, Steve. It makes me happy. It brings a smile to my heart.
Yeah, it's not even Sunday yet. Look, a lot of people believe that, with age that you are necessarily weaker. I'm not 60, so I don't know what it's like to be 60.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 53, and I'm telling you, man, I can go like a machine. Do I have limitations and injuries? And I'm like an old truck. I'm held together with duct tape and a lot of axle grease, right?
Yeah.
But, I can still go. I'm smarter than I ever was. All right, what do we got? So is the quality of my sleep worse if I wake up to go to the Usually I fall asleep again pretty fast. I'll let you tackle this one, Robert. Don't worry so much. Y'all worry too much.
Usually I fall asleep again pretty fast after I wake up. Sleeping 8 hours is optimal in terms of regeneration. Man, that's again, you're jumping into all these mental gymnastics. If you wake up, you go piss, and then you come back to sleep, and you fall back asleep within 10, 20 minutes, you're fine. Don't worry about it. It's a blip on the radar. Look at it, big picture stuff. I mean, if you wake up to go pee, that's all. I mean, Sandy wakes up to go and pee 2 or 3 times a night. She sleeps like a rocking, she's fine.
Big picture. The body can adapt. Robert, you know now that you've had a child that optimal sleep is a rarity. And I was at my strongest when I was, in that zone. So do your best. Maximize sleep. Don't worry.
Yeah, and half the time she's not the reason. The 3-year-old's not the reason I don't sleep well. It's usually I just got too much going on in my head, or I'm stressed about something else, or thinking about something else. It has nothing to do with the halfling.
All righty. And I appreciate you guys' questions, but I'm just trying to be honest with you, Kat. Don't worry. It's not anything that's going to impact your health. Grand scheme of things, if you're exercising and eating right, you're good. Robert, thoughts on Nutrex VitaDapt?
I'm pulling it up right now. Funny thing, when that brand actually released the product, I wrote the product page for it. I think they've changed it since, but I remember seeing this when it initially came down. It's got some decent forms of the minerals that are listed there, like calcicate. It's using the Albion minerals for a few of the minerals, like zinc, copper, manganese, potassium. It's using the cheaper forms for magnesium. They're using magnesium oxide instead of something like a magnesium citrate or a magnesium chelate, which I kind of find strange since they've got the trace minerals for all of the other stuff except the magnesium. It's got an adaptogen in it, which I kind of cool. I like. It's got KSM 66, which is going to help with stress, and 150 milligrams of rhodiola. I typically like a higher concentration of rhodiola, somewhere in like the 200 to 300 milligram range, and a higher rosamin concentration. But overall, I mean, that's a pretty decent quality multivitamin. You could do far worse. So yeah, I like that. That's a good one to go with. You can also look at the PE Science multivitamin. You can look at Inspired Nutraceuticals multivitamin, Ghost's multivitamin, Glaxon's multivitamin. All of those are really good. And then coming soon to a store near you, the Massive Iron Multi.
That's right, which will destroy everything because we said so.
Yep.
I'm just prepping an image for a future question. So I'm going to try to burn through these. Is he taking questions from chat? Yes. The question, like, we got so many questions that we're reading questions from probably an hour ago that were posted an hour ago. So yes, I'm 17, started benching 7 months ago. Last workout I hit 133 for 8 reps. Is this reasonable? Yeah, it's reasonable. I'd like you to set a goal by the time you're 20 to be hitting 315, because you got time and hormones on your side, and you just be consistent with your nutrition, feel your body, have fun. You're young. Don't get into micromanagement or rabbit trails. Listen to your body, and you can do well. Strength standards for somebody first. When I was 18, that's when I really started lifting seriously. After 18 months, I went from 95 by 4 bench to 275 by 4 bench. I got up to 315 by 5 on squat, and I didn't deadlift. So you can gain a lot of strength in 2 years at any age if you do it correctly. Most of it's mental. And the other most of it's consistency, nutrition, diet. I have the best question for your next Q&A, which is today. Would you rather have a human body and a dog head, or a dog body and a human head? I would rather jump off the top of the tallest building than to have to be either. But I don't know. I'd rather have a dog head and a human body, because I like my dance and sexy pecs. I don't know about you, Robert.
Yeah, I'd rather a human body.
All right. And some of y'all look like you have a dog head, so it don't matter much anyway. Trying to get +1. Is this reasonable? Is this progress reasonable? It's going to be hard, man. I mean, it's a goal, but at the end of the day, if you can add 2 +1s a month. You're doing really good. About sleep aids, what's your opinion on CBD? I love this question, Robert, because so many people are pushing it. And we've had this discussion 3-4 years ago that there was not a lot of science to back up any claims front scientific 4 years later.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't kept up with it as much as when it first jumped on the scene a couple of years ago. I know more studies are emerging. There are some antioxidant benefits or some anti-inflammatory benefits to there. There's some pain relieving, some analgesic effects to CBD. A lot of people attribute anti-anxiety to it. A lot of these studies are using super high quality CBD isolate, which is super expensive. It's 300 milligrams is what one of the dosages is. Bioavailability is a little bit of a concern. There's also some credence to the thing that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, or the sum of the parts is greater than the whole, whatever the hell the expression is, where you don't want just CBD by itself. You want to get a full spectrum CBD product or extract, tincture, whatever you're having, because there's some interplay and some interaction with all of the other little cannabinoids that are in hemp extracts or CBD oil, hemp oil, that could enhance the efficacy or the bioavailability of CBD. So yes, there is some research to show that it may help sleep, but there's also some to show that it has no impact on sleep. And again, this is going to boil down to the quality of the CBD supplement that you're using, whether it's part of a full spectrum CBD oil, or is it just the isolated CBD molecule by itself? How do you know the quality of the company that's sourcing it from you? How do you interact with it? I've taken a few different CBD products over the years. I haven't noticed much of anything as far as stress reduction, improvements in sleep, or anything like that. Individual dosing, like I've taken something as high as yielding 1,000 milligrams of CBD allegedly in one little dropper. Is that really happening? I don't know. It's something that more research is coming out, and the molecule, the mechanism of action seem pretty intriguing on it. I just haven't noticed any benefit directly from it. I know Alan likes it, or he used it for a while, and he said he got some good benefits as far as joint relief due to its anti-inflammatory benefits and stress reduction. I haven't experienced it. I get more bang for my buck with things like lemon balm, melatonin, valerian root, theanine, stuff like that.
So the question is, and I'd like to hear your thoughts and everybody else's thoughts, CBD oil versus, okay, so it's medicinal marijuana is legal.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of sleep-related issues come from stress, not being able to wind down and relax.
Yeah.
If I was a betting man and I had sleep issues, put my chips on marijuana before bed, as opposed to CBD oil. Am I missing anything? I mean, which would you had your bet on?
I mean, if you were going to go the THC route, I would probably suggest, or I would think, I'm not even going to say suggest, I would think that an edible would be the preferred way to go, just so because you're not inhaling smoke and vapors and damaging your lung tissue by smoking. I would assume an edible is going to have more of an effect, but it's got a delayed onset of activity versus smoking it. Yeah. I mean, that way you're getting the CBD, but you're also getting the THC and some of the other, other fun little bioactives that are in hemp.
I don't know. It's an interesting question.
Yeah.
James, you look more shredded in the pictures. Well, just a couple things. Just a couple things to address that. A few points for you guys to consider. Number one, I'm the same weight in those pictures. Number two, I don't take any pictures anymore because, I'm not. I spent like 5 years taking pictures of myself, in the gym. Like, look what I found, right? And I just don't have time for it, honestly, and I don't feel the need. And also, some people comment about my face. I got news for you guys. I'm 5 or 6 years older than I was in those pictures. And does my face look a little more weathered and red and rugged and beat up? Yeah, reasons. Number one, I've been living outside, for 3 or 4 years running. Like my face is perpetually red. Now when I take a selfie, when I'm out running, my face is like beet red, and I'm like, man, I just spent 2 hours in 5 degree running in the snow. My face is like both red and swollen like a cherry tomato. And again, I'm older. I'm just older, and I'm drinking more. It's 2020.
21.
I'm drinking more because I'm running more, so that could have something to do with it as well. But me and my wife, I get this a lot because I'm not taking new pictures every week, and I'm the same weight. So me and my wife are like, okay, for my 54th birthday, I want to be the guy that 25 by 5 by 10 runs 100 miles, and when you look at my body for a 54-year-old, you're like, so that's the path we're on. All righty. Is 30 minutes of steady state cardio 5 to 6 days a week on a stationary bike okay? Absolutely. Absolutely. Great for overall general health. Obese, 50 pounds down and counting on keto. I do 2 workout days and rest and repeat. Will this help me lose weight? Working out, like non-cardio workouts, don't burn a lot of calories. The only way exercise is going to help you is if you're counting calories every day and you have that nailed consistently. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So, and you're probably not going to gain, 2 workout days. Are you going to gain weight from muscle? Maybe. It depends on your progressive overload approach. It's very difficult. But, I mean, you were struggling with a plateau. So I sense, and the question, before we dive into any other questions from you, Kushman, let's just establish, are you tracking calories?
Right.
And I'm not picking on you. I'm not implying you're not. But we have to troubleshoot from the basics. Like when somebody is trying to troubleshoot a computer, is it plugged in? Right? Are your calories plugged in? Let's start with that. Bilal, I hope both of you are doing well. Thank you. Is it necessary to deload? I say this is my main advice. Look at the course of a year. When you're sick, take time away from the gym. When you're on vacation, take time away from the gym. When it's your wife's birthday, take time away from the gym. When it's Christmas, take time away from the gym. There's so many opportunities in a year that call for you to take time away from a gym. Use those opportunities to relax. When you're sick, you're on vacation, or when your body is feeling beat up or you're feeling beat up mentally, take a day or 2 or 3, but take it day by day. Don't say, I'm just going to take a week off and deload. Robert, any thoughts to add to that?
Nope. You said everything and more, and then some, Steve. Everything I was going to say, you hit.
When you're a big, strong intermediate lifter and you got, some pretty big lifts, it's not a bad idea to program in a lighter week every 4th week, just for longevity's sake. But for the average individual who isn't there, no need. Isn't fasting for mental, spiritual benefits, not physical health? Well, I know a lot of people do it for mental and spiritual reasons, and a lot of people believe it's for physical health. And I'm not going to beat this one to death because I think we already touched on the physical health and so on and so forth. But maybe Robert, one day we can do a video. What is it? Autophagy? How do you pronounce it?
Autophagy.
Autophagy.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Maybe we can do a video on that and see how if we can bring about 1,000 hate comments.
Sure, we can.
Anytime I talk about it, I just get hammered like a nail. Running question. Do you take nutrition on your longer runs? Yes. I am trained by one of the top runners in the world, Gary Robbins. And if you haven't seen it, go to YouTube, search the Ginger Runner, and search the Barkley Marathons, and you'll have an hour and a half of some of the most amazing shit you've seen in your life. My coach does this 60-hour run where there's no trail. You got to land nav yourself. And it's like 5 marathons in some of the most insane terrain elevation gains. So I'm coached by him, and nutrition's a very, very important thing. I have to eat every hour. He wants me to eat 200 calories every hour. And will it tear your stomach up? Yeah, it can tear your stomach up because your stomach's not used to it, but you got to train your stomach. So you have to start slow, and you have to kind of learn what food choices work and what don't. The long endurance runs I've done, 12 and longer, I've done up to 52 hours. Your stomach will get torn up. There's different factors involved. Like when all your blood is in your face and in your muscles and in your skin, it's not working to digest, right? It's not working as efficiently to digest. Many people get sick. My wife gets sick every time there's a long run in the heat. She just vomits profusely. So you need to kind of I need to make myself stop every hour to 2 hours for like 10 minutes to cool my body temperature down to aid digestion. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on here, but yes, you should try to eat probably at least 100 calories every hour. Honey stingers are a good place to start, but you have my attention, sir. Fasting promotes autophagy.
And you know what? There's a study right here I'm looking at from 2018. Exercise and exercise training induced increase in autophagy markers in human skeletal muscle. So like I said earlier, exercise also increases autophagy. And you don't have to starve yourself.
Don't give away all the secrets, Robert.
Yeah, there's multiple studies. If you type in exercise and autophagy, and there's multiple studies in humans showing this.
You know what the fasting promotes? Muscle loss. You know what it also promotes? Lack of focus, lack of sexual performance. It promotes poor recovery. Exercise does not. Does a deadlift build the back?
It can.
There's my back. I'm a big deadlifter. Yeah, absolutely. The deadlift's a great back building exercise. It will build your erectors like no other. It'll build your traps like no other. And it just is like part of a well-rounded picture. It really helps with your other back work. So, yes, it's a great choice. Curious to know if you watch Greg Doucette's video, why gaining strength does not matter when building muscle. It does matter. It does. This has got to be out of context. Greg would never, Greg wouldn't phrase it like that. Greg is incredibly strong. I think this has got to be out of context because Greg would never tell you that if you start out with 95 by 4 on the bench, that strength doesn't matter. Greg wouldn't say that. So this is out of context. I'm not trying to be hard on you, but I don't want anybody watching this to, progressive overload is everything. And you can progressively overload volume, but it runs its course quickly. You can progressively overload exercise progressions, but you're out of room quickly. The only sustainable long-term pillar is progressive overload and weight. So I just encourage you guys anybody that's seen it, maybe to do a clarifying response to that. Is 5 liters raw Jersey milk enough to what? What?
We've gotten a bunch of questions about raw milk. I wonder if Sebastian is the one that keeps asking these every week, but he's asked us about raw milk before, or somebody has.
What's Jersey milk?
Jersey cows.
Oh.
It's a specific type of cow.
5 liters and when? During a week?
Yeah, a week, a day?
Look, the bottom line is I'm not being dismissive. I'm just trying to piece it all together. Calories in, calories out is the main thing. So you got to be tracking calories. Over drinking milk can be not always the best on some people's digestive systems. If it works for you, great. But it's always all about calories in, calories out. And you want to have a slow controlled bulk. You don't want to do a bulk, a fat building bulk.
Yeah.
All right, Gordon Overkill. That's got to be the avatar of the day. Is that like Shakespeare?
It looks like it, yeah.
I find lead and bulking pretty tough. No problem to stay in my planned range when cutting, but when I'm above maintenance, it's just like, well, a couple hundred. Yeah, that's pretty common. That's that's why we have bulking. That's why we have so much bulk fear. So, bulking or cutting, if you have a specific goal and that's to build muscle, ain't nobody got time for getting fat. And there's no time to get fat. You got to be reasonable. All right, Robert. Sorry, I'm trying to burn through these so we can get
You're
you
good,
out.
Steve.
Julian, plan by cutting your calories by 100 2 days before, the day before, and the day after, giving yourself track with for the week. Yeah, it's kind of along with what I talk about with flex calorie dieting. You have to keep track of your calorie intake, but if somebody's going over 2,000 calories a day, multiple times a week, then we got issues, right? If you're gonna go way over on some day, then you might, like Thanksgiving or whatever, you might want to just have 3 or 4 days where you chill, headed into the big fiesta. By chill, I mean just kind of pull back a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, you don't want to binge or starve yourself. That's a good point. Those are two conditions that you want to try to avoid. If you're really overeating or really undereating, that's not really a sustainable, healthy lifestyle, and that's not good for the best for what we're trying to achieve. Patty McGill says, be Catholic.
I am.
The solidifying gain sounds like BS. Yeah, it's just random stuff. Like if we talk about bro science, it's just completely not founded in science. That's why I get triggered. But I've heard of a Russian progression program where you spend more time in a specific way and then take bigger jumps. Bigger jumps aren't occurring when you're already strong. So
yeah, it's kind of like the kettlebell thing. Like kettlebells don't go up in like 5-pound increments. The traditional kettlebells were like 16, 24, 32, 48. So you had to work with that same weight and get, you got a bunch of reps. And then when you got a shit ton of reps done, then you had already gained enough strength to jump to like the 48-pound kettlebell and then the 53-pound kettlebell and all of that stuff. So I think, that's where some of the Russian progression is from.
One thing I'll say is like I'm very much for slow, steady progression because the body is more than just a muscular system. It involves tendons and joints and everything. So slow, steady, let everything strengthen.
Yep.
Beef McLewis, thoughts on people going all the way to the gym to do body weight? If it motivates them.
Yeah, they might not have dip bars or a pull-up bar at home.
I don't know. I find the atmosphere, sometimes I need the atmosphere of a gym. Brings out sometimes things can get stale at home. Yeah. So honestly, man, I'm not being dismissive. Floats their boat. Whatever gets you motivated. I mean, if I was a single man, I'd be all up in that gym, just ogling all those stretch pants booties on the treadmills and all that kind of stuff. I'd be all up in that testosterone boosting environment. I would. I'd be the creeper. I wouldn't be the creeper, but I'd accidentally kind of, side eye things a little bit. You know what I'm saying? A little side eye.
There.
Little side eye. How long does it take to regain your strength?
Depends on layoff. If you had an injury, what your previous was, and all that. That's a way open-ended question.
Yeah, I was off for a while after the birth of one of my daughters. She had colic and it was a very difficult time. But when I came back, all my strength came back in like 6 months. And we did not hurt Dave's fifis. That's good because I love you, Dave. David, thanks for the advice. Thank you for tuning in. And if I ever get out of control, it's because I'm a servant of the truth. And I do not like bullshit, and I do not want you guys to get involved with bullshit. Alexander, I currently can do 20 minutes of cycling every day. How many minutes should I strive for to become advanced? Well, when you're doing a form of cardio, by advanced, I don't know if you want to increase your speed or your power output in those 20 minutes, or if you want to improve your endurance. So, you know, it really comes down to your goals. I think we would have to clarify. Is that fair, Robert?
Yeah. And it's like, if you're cycling, are you doing cycling just for cardio? I mean, you don't really become advanced at cardio unless you're an endurance athlete. I think that's so.
If you want to get advanced as far as endurance, there's a specific way to go about it. I can give you a general structure. Let's say you're training for 4 days a week. You don't want to train too much each week. You have to have some recovery and rest.
Mm-hmm.
And we do like 1 hour, 30 minutes, an hour and 15, and then hours. And then the next week we'll bump that up by 15 minutes. The next week another 15 minutes, and then we'll do a deload week, and we'll start the next cycle over, but a level up. So there's a lot of cycling and progression. So I'd love to explore that with you, but we just need a little more info.
Yeah.
Would it be okay to do even 30 minutes of cardio? Take a day off. Give your a break. There are too many benefits from recovery. Would you? I mean, I like to move every day. I do.
Yeah. But
just don't do the same movement pattern every day. There's some downsides to that. Would you agree to that, Robert?
Yeah. I mean, 7 days a week on stationary, that would get really boring for me. You know, maybe undulate a few, and go out for a walk if you can. Do some body weight circuits for cardio or just some mobility work. At least, you know, I mean, movement every day is good, but do you need to be fixed to the stationary bike as your way of moving activity every day? No, I wouldn't recommend that. Get out and do something different.
I'm not a fan of doing the same type of movement as more than 5 days a week at times. I just think there's downsides to it over the long run.
Yeah.
Do elliptical, have prolonged sex, learn how to walk on your hands, you know, go bowling, do something else that's a little bit different. Apocalypse Beats. Should I deadlift on back or leg day? Back day. If you're doing a bro split. Because, yeah, you'll hit your legs a little bit, but it's more of a better way to fire up your back day. Excuse me. Tell us more about joints, how to treat them if they are not too healthy. Number one, lose weight. That's the biggest one. I believe every pound of body weight adds I forget what the amount of pressure on your joints, but it's
10 pounds of pressure. Is that right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
5 or 10 pounds of pressure, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, every pound of body weight matters. And inflammation, just general how you feel, food choices. This might sound silly, but food choices impact inflammation, which can impact tendons, connective tissue, muscle, and it can just mess with how you feel and mess with how you walk and perform.
Yeah.
Robert, any thoughts on that? How to improve the joints if they're not healthy?
Take them through full ranges of motion. Make sure you're doing your exercises with good controlled form. You're not doing sloppy form or trying to grind through a rep, or you have dysfunctional movement patterns. From the nutrition side of things, make sure you're getting enough protein in your diet, and you can also get some collagen. You can look for hydrolyzed collagen peptides. You can also supplement with UC2 collagen, 40 milligrams of that. Let's see, collagen peptides. You could also look into a turmeric or curcumin supplement. You want around 500 milligrams of that. You could also look into Andrographis paniculata extract, or 300 milligrams of paractin, and 500 milligrams of natural egg cell membrane. Each of those ingredients might also be coming into a joint supplement to be released in the not too near future as well. So
yeah, it's going to be called Massive Joint, and people think, haha, funny, but everything I do is massive calves, massive traps, massive whatever. So it's just going to be Massive Joint.
Yeah. Insert
jokes. Paladin, how to stop front squats hurting my shoulders and biceps? I don't know, dude. Front squats are not an easy exercise. You could, if they're actually physically just hurting your shoulders from having them placed on there, put a little padding, wear a hoodie or something.
Yeah.
If they're hurting your biceps, I'm not sure what kind of grip you're using, the cross grip, the like this or whatever. I got nothing for you there.
You can also maybe look into like a safety squat bar instead of that. I mean, if you had the option to buy a safety squat bar, you can go with that. Or use those lifting straps so you can hold the bar and it holds up here and you're not having to flex your elbows and your wrists like that.
Robert just froze up. Let's see if he unfreezes.
Hello.
Robert's back.
There we go. Yeah, maybe instead of like get the lifting straps and use that for the bar instead of having like bend your hands back, or you could do like the zombie or the Frankenstein hold or whatever. It's another option. Or just don't do front squats.
I have to do this when I'm doing it, and still it's hard to keep the elbows up on rep to rep. Yeah. I find the front squats are one of my least favorite exercises for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
The Ricos 4, thoughts on TRT for men in their 50s for overall well-being. Robert, hormones. Testosterone. Sorry, I'm slurring after 2.5 hours. Testosterone, estrogen, human growth hormone, insulin, cortisol.
Thyroid.
What am I missing here?
Thyroid hormones.
All these, so important for health. With probably human growth hormone at the food chain and insulin day to day and how we feel. So get it checked, but first and foremost, take care of yourself. Sleep, sex, exercise, get outdoors, frolic, do things you like every day.
Yeah.
That's such an, that's such an important thing. People that judge you for the things you like, just go do what you like.
Agreed.
Live a low stress life. What's the best way to contact you for one-on-one? Instagram, I've been the barman for simple questions. I try to answer them, but I get swamped. So just keep the questions concise and simple, and I'd be glad to help. All right, Robert, we made 2 hours and 36 minutes. We got a world record. We didn't reach 100 live viewers at the same time, so there's no need for you to strip.
Thank goodness.
So after a week of hell in Texas, are you able to do anything this weekend fun?
Yeah, I mean, Spicewood, where Iron Wolf Distillery is, has power and water and everything. I mean, we have power here now, but water could be another 1 to 3 days out, depending on what the estimates say. So who knows when the hell we're going to get water? I don't know. We've got a bunch stored up in pots and pans, so we're okay. From like a toilet flushing thing and all of that stuff and drinking water and all that. So we're going to be okay on that front. It goes much more than that. That'll be interesting, but we'll cross that bridge if we have to get to it. Hopefully not. But we're probably going to head to Iron Wolf Distillery tomorrow afternoon because they're going to have live music since they shut down last weekend. Because that's when we started getting all the snow and everything. So we'll be out there tomorrow. And outside of that, just I'm going to get back into the work groove because I haven't had internet for 5 days. So I've got phone calls and text messages to return and articles that need writing and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm going to be doing I got a 2-hour run tomorrow, maybe, if it ever stops snowing. And I'm going to get my gym fixed up a little bit. I just, so I love the run. I just want to tell you guys before we go, and I'll hop off. I'm passionate about what I do. And I'm passionate about keeping people away from bullshit because it wastes people's time. And things like nuclear overload nuclear training and blood flow restriction, all that kind of stuff. I'm not dismissing it. Any of it has having the potential to be scientifically beneficial. You guys don't need it though, because you can accomplish so much more with the basics, and you get to that 95% and you're good. So, don't chase the stuff you don't need. I'm just trying to help you guys out, and I'm passionate about it because there's so many people that like to make videos on this stuff because it gets views and it ends up wasting people's time. I'll never waste your time on purpose. Big hugs for everybody, including you, Robert.
Thank you, Steve. I need one.
I know you need one after this week. All right, we'll talk to you guys next week. We'll be back.
All right, my friend.
We'll be back at 11 a.m. Eastern. See ya.
Bye.